Because I literally did it today.
Yep.
I was following you in the van.
Barely.
Yep, barely.
It was pretty great getting to the top and going like, I wonder how long this is gonna take. Yeah.
I drove myself up the hill in the van because that's what I drove to work today.
Mm-hmm.
He, on the other hand, had a Turo rental car.
Yep.
And it's actually going to be its cousins are going to be the star of some videos we're going to watch today, among other things, I guess.
Yep.
It's brothers and sisters or what have you. Anyway, it was an EcoBoost Mustang.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So far, so good?
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised. Deep talk up the hill with Berg's laying in the back.
Yeah.
Like Lou Berkey?
Yeah, Bergie was literally reclined on the back bench, just chilling as we drove up the thing, and I'm thinking, man, he's going to get sick.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Imagine riding in that van with that body roll, going up that hill.
That'd be, that'd be something else. Because, I didn't have time for conversation. I was too busy playing.
You took off. Like, I know you have autocross background and all that goodness, so you didn't hold back.
No. Mud Hunter!
Hey! Yeah! The Dan plus E and the Dan, or the Dane and the Dane minus E, I guess.
Minus E? Whether you're feeling plus E or minus E today? I get it. That's fair. Yeah. No, like that was the thing I've been waiting, like hoping to happen, was being able to go romping up the Bogus Basin road and actually stretch the legs, see what the car could do. My driving impressions were this is actually it's a good chassis.
Because people might bag on the EcoBoost because it's the base model or something, but as far as I understand, you can option them out pretty well before you move up to the next level if you want.
Oh, yeah.
But most people get mad because you bought a famously V8 powered vehicle with the non-V8 power plant.
But
I don't take issue with that. I think unconventional drivetrains are cool.
No, exactly.
Usually.
Well, and I would argue, too, that this isn't really a terribly unconventional because there's already precedent with the SVO Mustang.
Yeah.
This is just I haven't driven the SVO, I don't know, but this is a competent chassis. It's got things dialed in, buttoned down. Probably my biggest complaint is the 10-speed automatic. I think
was it hunting a lot?
I didn't let it hunt.
Oh,
but
okay.
The problem is it
you
doesn't
lock in the
know.
manual?
You have paddle shifters, so as soon as you click the button, you're in manual mode. What's interesting is you can't shift. You have to physically shift the shifter from sport to drive or drive to sport to kick it out of manual mode.
Yeah.
So I was in that case. It was really nice, but you're fighting like it'll go. So what's interesting is I was primarily in second and third, which on a 10-speed automatic is down low.
Yeah.
6-speed would be way different, right? But what's interesting is second gear is good for lower. You can it goes up to like 40 or 35 or 40.
Okay, so that's pretty low.
Yeah. And then like third gear goes to like 75 or something.
Oh, okay, that's a bit of a jump. What I was trying to figure out, what I was going to ask you, because I was curious about this. I haven't driven an EcoBoost Mustang. I've driven a V8 one, but I haven't driven an EcoBoost. I was curious because having been in like Focus STs and stuff like that, you get an idea. But in this case, it's around 300 horse, right? 310? Okay. Yeah. And what I want to know about that Autobox, because I know most people are just going to be like, just get the manual, manual
I agree.
elitism. Yeah, I get it.
I am a manual elitist.
Yes, and it's totally fine. Save the manuals. But in this case, I'm saying, okay, so you find yourself behind the wheel of an automatic EcoBoost Mustang. Are the gears, because there are 10 of them, whoa, hey,
damn.
Jeez. Look at Luke. Holy cow, dude. Thank you.
Dang,
that's nuts.
Man.
You went ham.
Wild.
So, thank you. That's huge.
What he said.
Jeez, dude. Yeah. Wow. Crazy. So what I was saying, to keep this, you know, intellectually stimulating and educational is, I was trying to figure out on the 10 speed, because my F-350 I had also had a 10 speed, the Ford 10 speed, which I think they co-developed with like GM or something. Yep. And
same hardware, different software.
Right. Okay. And if I understand correctly, in my case, it was, designed around a vehicle built for towing, but in the Mustang, it has a very different job. So ideally, you would have it pretty sporty for like the first 5 or 6 gears, and then the rest might be fuel economy gears or something like that, is how traditionally you might look at it. But what I wanted to ask you was, is that actually how it is? Because it sounds like maybe in some cases you'd have the first few gears be very close ratio, give you a sense of like, yeah, lots of drama, because you like the sensation of shifting a lot. Yeah. Some people like that, some people don't. But with an auto, you can make it whatever. But when you go into manual mode, it's cool to be able to like, okay, lots of ratios to play with. On a mountain road like that, it's a great opportunity, because unless you're insane, you're usually not exceeding 70 or so on that road. I have found myself exceeding 70 on more than a few occasions up there. Not that I'm, saying anything. The signs on the road say otherwise, but less than half that, we'll say, because the cars that used to go up it were much, much slower. Right. But what I wanted to know was on the gearing on it. Did it feel like fuel economy gears are the higher gears, or did it actually feel sporty in most of the gears? Like, could you pull away from 0 in second gear? There's enough torque in it that you could do that without putting strain.
So that was weird.
Because my Jag can do that. Start in second gear, and it's fine.
Yeah. That's weird because... in bogus Mexico.
Bogus Mexico. It's called bogus, man. It's not real. That's all you need to know.
Yep. So,
birds aren't real either.
Oh my god. I actually encountered someone who unironically thought that.
Oh no.
I had to explain to my aunt why they were saying birds aren't real.
It's a parody on conspiracy. Anyway, back to what we were saying.
But they didn't take it as a parody. So, this seems to just be a programming logic thing. It doesn't start in any gear except first. So that's what you're running into with that. First gear is super short, which is nice.
Okay.
Mod Hatter GTFO. I will ban you.
He does have the keyboard and mouse in front of him more so than I do, so look out. But I encourage you guys, be free, speak your minds. I want this to be a fun place to chat. And now he's typing into chat himself. Oh boy.
No.
Continue with your story.
No, so yes.
Y'all are playing with fire.
I'm over here just like, fine. Tell me to do it, I will. I mean, yeah. So it's got
so violent. Sorry.
It's got the flappy pedals. It will only start in first. First gear is super short. Second gear is also short. Third gear, like I already said, it goes up to 75. So it's a longer gear. It's probably closer to a traditional second gear. Mod Hatter bet tomorrow. Let's do it. I'm there. It's going down. So, fourth gear, I never really touched on Bogus Basin unless I was chilling out. And cool. See your bet. See you tomorrow. It's a thing. And maybe we would record it and throw it on the TRC page.
That could be fun.
Just for gits and shiggles.
There you go.
So I never really, I wanted to spend more time in second gear, but it definitely was running. It was definitely I was definitely running out of running into the red line, and third gear would definitely let the turbo shine, because the turbo would come online and you would just get torque, TORK torque.
Yeah.
And, what I saw in terms of, it would build, you could feel the engine output building, and then at around 4,500 RPM or something, it would plateau, where you were still accelerating with Luke, you gifted people subscriptions to Dane's Twitch channel, and
gifting subs is how you basically award other people the ability to not see when ads pop up, because that's what Twitch does when you reach a certain level.
And like emoticons and so on.
Yeah, you get to use emojis and fun stuff.
Actually, Alex, that was a funny.
We talked about that.
Right towards the top, I was like, okay, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with the chassis now. I can. That was another good thing, is the chassis communicate. Like, there's still some rubberiness in it, but the chassis communicates pretty well, and so you can kind of start feeling the limits.
Okay. How much of that rubberiness would you attribute to the tires and the base model suspension?
So that suspension is better than one would think.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, no, this isn't bad. This is like, I could take this on an autocross course. I was like, okay, yeah, this would be fine. If I bought that car, it would be a manual. Or at least I would want to try out the manual if at all possible, because I want to see if those gear ratios do it any justice. And then the other thing that would happen is I'd throw those tires away.
The tires were like all seasons, aren't they?
Well, they're not only all seasons, but they were like very much touring, kind of like this car is, the straight line tires, like straight line highway tires.
They were tires that could have easily gone on to a Hyundai Sonata.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they wound up on a Mustang.
Yeah, and Alex, I think you're correct that it's an IRS Mustang.
Yes, no, the S550 chassis is all independent rear.
So yeah, I felt like the tires were the biggest thing, which probably saved the brakes, because when you can't go terribly fast through a corner, you can't really do too much.
Right, yeah.
It would be if Anthony was here. Although it would be really funny to like have Anthony and I chase each other up and down Bogus Basin to see how it goes. It would be really bad if I doubt I could, but it would be really shitty if I kept up with him in the Mustang with the crappy tires. That would be like, he would get mad.
Just, let him sweat it a little.
Yeah. So it was really, I got to the top of the hill, and, I told you I was sitting there like, yep, that's tires and brakes.
I was going to say, the brakes are where I think, okay, the tires are a little on the subpar side. Not the car's fault. It's just what was on it.
Yeah.
But I would have to assume, okay, I'm impressed that the suspension is better than expected with that car for a base model. But I would have to assume that the brakes, until you actually option some better brakes or something from the factory, they're probably not going to be... I mean, discs all the way around, of course. This day and age, they got to be. But they're nothing impressive, right? Or did they actually function...
So they were
in the moment where you're actually testing them.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was really pushing the brakes terribly hard. I wasn't experiencing any fade, and I felt like they were good, and I could modulate them pretty well. The one thing I don't like is the booster on that. It is way over boosted. It's the first millimeter of brake travel is like 50% of the braking force. So,
I feel like luxury cars, base model new cars, certain cars seem to have that issue. And I swear they do it on purpose.
Yeah, I think they do.
To give people buying that new car a feeling of like, oh, wow, these brakes are amazing. When really they're not anything special when you actually have any competency behind the wheel and you're pushing it. They give you false confidence up to it.
Yeah, and it also messes with low speed modulation and coming to a smooth stop, and especially if you like, if there's like if a blind spot and a car or a pedestrian or a bicycle cyclist is in it, especially like turning onto a street, you do that slow rollout, but then you have because that first bit of travel is super heavy, you like nose down.
And then you look like a crazy person. Yeah. Well, and I feel like, okay, this is just my own personal experience. The cars I've found that to be the most egregious in are oftentimes post 2012, 2014 Toyotas and Lexuses in particular, I found
really?
are especially susceptible to. I find, well, at least, in my brother's RX, he has an RX 330, and it's like an '06 or '07, but I remember that one had especially terrible ones. But my Tacoma, oh my God, the brakes in that, I had a 2020 Tacoma. You breathe on them a little.
Yep.
And I've driven Priuses and other stuff too, where it's just like regenerative braking is one thing.
Yeah,
in a hybrid, I expect that. I like that. But when you deliberately press the brakes and it does that, not cool. I found that my Ford C-Max, it was a 2014, very linear, predictable brake travel. I really like that. Even though I have regenerative braking, you can control how much you had. But I hate it when a car has that, just like you're going along at a reasonable rate and you just ever so slightly tap the brakes. Like, I'm just going to do a little like light flash to let people know I'm slowing down up ahead as a courtesy, right? Because they're like, oh, everybody stopped ahead, and I noticed people hauling ass behind me. I'm gonna give them a heads up, like, hey, cool it. And you'll do that, and next thing you know, you nosedive, like you said. So yeah, I mean, I find that Toyota and Lexus seem to be especially big, problematic in this sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have experience to agree or disagree with you. I'd believe it. It's definitely a newer car thing, or it's become a trend in the last decade and change.
Yeah. It seems to be in a lot of newer cars. So something changed around 2007, 8, 2010, somewhere around there. And they just started like over boosting everything. Because I also know some Kias and Hyundais too. Whoa, hey, Mud Hatter, that's very nice. Thank you. Throwing those bits out.
We will not answer your question, though.
Wait, what's Mud Hatter's? Is the plural of Lexus Lexuses or Lexi? I mean, I've seen when it comes to like the Prius, for example, people call them Pre-I or Pre or something like that. I always assumed that second I was just silent. With my Audi, I just found a front pad swap fix that and heavy dusting. Okay.
Ooh, good stuff.
Audis, yeah, from what I hear people say, they are kind of prone to heavy dusting.
Yeah.
Brake dust like is a bit of a problem. Yeah, Germans, yeah. And that's funny because, like, I haven't owned that many German vehicles. I just had the BMW Z3, which is its own very unique experience. But it's fun, though. It's a cool car, but it very much, like, piecemeal. There's so many parts in there that feel like they're always on the verge of just breaking or snapping or chafing or rattling. Like, it's crazy. My Miata felt much more solid.
Yeah.
Honest.
Well,
and I had a 92 NA, so it's not like it was remotely like the BMW was 2001 Z3, and my 92 Miata felt better put together than that.
Yeah, that is a weird thing about some cars, is some are just put together better. I felt like my NB was surprisingly solid.
What year was yours? Like an 01 or a 2000?
It was a 99.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. Alex.
Thank you, Lex. I was going to say, Lex, I mean, basically, you're a Lexus, too. Yeah, that did it. Dang, Germans, Das Auto is like, let's go kaput. Okay, thank you. Wow.
How do you speak German?
Yeah, apparently a little bit slipped through there.
Yeah, something.
Don't get her mad.
Apparently not.
So anyway, you guys want to watch some videos on the EcoBoost Stang? We'll see what they say about it.
Yeah.
You picked the videos, so
I want to start with this one.
They're both on channels that I'm big fans of. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and watch together. And if we got any commentary, the space bar exists. So you know. All right, React View. Pop it over. Ta-da! Look, it's Savage Geese. We've all heard of this channel, haven't we? All right.
Twice.
Just a bit. All right. So we'll go ahead. Oh, see, here comes Mod Hatter with more German. By the way, before we start this, I just wanted to ask you guys, is the audio better today, do you feel? I think you guys haven't complained about audio today, so it must be working better. But us talking into the same mic, albeit further away from us, should be good. Yay. Okay, good. We're good.
Sweet.
As long as it doesn't pick up this video. I'm hoping it doesn't.
The 2020 Mustang S550 EcoBoost. Now, Mark and I have already done a video on the original EcoBoost in 2015. However, since then, the Mustang and the EcoBoost lineup as a whole has received some major updates. First in 2018 with a refresh, then again in 2020. So in this video, we're going to walk you through all of the updates made to this car during its now 5-year life cycle, and walk you through why you should or should not buy an EcoBoost Mustang.
Oh, yeah. Calling him a Chad.
It's safe to say the typical buying demographic of a Mustang EcoBoost is dramatically different than the buyer who's looking at either a GT, GT350, or GT500. The reason they're buying an EcoBoost over those cars is either they don't value the extra performance or it's associated with cost. The EcoBoost is dramatically cheaper than the V8 offerings, both in running cost and associated MSRP. Yeah. Now, the EcoBoost itself excels surprisingly well as a daily driver. The cabin is very, very usable. Interior space and practicality is where this car excels. The trunk specifically is enormous. When you fold down the rear seats, the amount of storage you can fit in this car is remarkable.
Friggin' Saturday. I really like Jack, though. Jack's a funny, subtly, but dry humor is all this channel operates on.
Yep.
But what I was going to say was, okay, we got 9 viewers now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you enjoy this. It's going to be a very nerdy night, I think.
Yep.
We're really going to dork out over these things, so I hope you're ready for it. What I was going to say was, I'm a firm believer that every trunk on a coupe with a fastback is a wasted opportunity. A hatchback. Yeah.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
And I know there are some people who would argue that by introducing a hatchback, you're introducing opportunities for lesser structural integrity. Because then, like in the 350Z, they added that crossbar. And in the G35 coupe, they didn't have it, but they had a back seat. Created the rigidity that way. They had different ways of doing it. But I just think if you're going to have that space, it's so much more useful to have the glass also go up with the trunk lid, have the whole thing go up, have it could be the same shape, just have it be a liftback, a hatch. And granted, you're not really going to have that much more volume on paper, but it's the shape of the space that makes such a difference. And being able to remove that parcel shelf, whereas here, you can see it's built in. You can't move that. No, that's just static.
Right.
And what that means is, the next time you finally decide, okay, it's been 10 years, I need to upgrade my TV, and I want to get something bigger, but all I have is this Mustang, well, I'm not going to go rent a pickup truck just to do this, and I'm not going to be a psycho who straps it to the roof and either scuffs and scratches that up, or potentially sends it flying on the freeway. Yeah. Let me put it into my hatchback. Oh, wait, I don't have one. And that was the reason I got my Jag, was because options were... I was looking for V8, rear-wheel drive, at least 400 horsepower, and a hatchback.
Yeah.
And those just don't exist, other than a C6 Corvette, which was in my price range, and under 30,000. That was my big one, too. Yeah. So, yeah, C6 Corvette, not a Z06, because all the Z06s are way over 30. Even, like, the roughest examples that I saw close to 30 were beat. Even though that's a great car, like, in its own way. I tried driving some other C6s. I talked about this on. I just could not stand how creaky and plastically and just junky the interior felt. And I'm somebody who, like, grew up in GM vehicles. I'm no stranger to it. 87 Astro van, 95 Chevy Suburban, 89 Chevy Suburban, 2001 Chevy Suburban.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, as you know, Ragnarok. Yeah, all that stuff. And it's just, and thank you, Luke. You got to ride in the Jag too. I'm glad you got to do that. That's right.
He's correct.
So it is fun. It's fun. Yeah. So yeah, it makes fun noises and all that. But So what I just kind of wanted to say there was that's my own personal philosophy is a hatchback is always the better answer on just about any vehicle you could think of. And it doesn't have to mean you have the... Some people get upset and they go, I don't want a dorky shape. You know, they're thinking like a Volkswagen Golf thing, which nothing wrong with those. I like those. But some people think, oh, that's a hatchback. No, you can have a sexy coupe and a fastback design and just have a liftback, but it's infinitely more useful because of the shape of the space that you're putting things into, and you can remove that parcel shelf. That means all the difference in the world, at least to me. Coming from somebody who like felt forced, like if I had to have one vehicle, I couldn't live without having a hatchback. A trunk would drive me crazy. And when I had my first car, I had a Subaru SVX. Yeah. I loved everything about that, except I wished it had a hatchback. Had a trunk. So yeah, missed opportunity. Sorry, I dominate. But what do you think? I just leave you to. I just pause there.
Oh, you're good.
The only reason Luke gave all the subs is because he's high on painkillers. You know what Dane's deflated pool? Let's not draw attention to that fact and just be happy he did.
Right?
Thank you, Luke. You're so wonderful and gracious.
No, you're super kind.
You're super... No, but legit. You are extremely kind and giving, and I appreciate it. And it's very nice of you to actually share those to other people. It's very cool. All right.
So, well, one thing you mentioned though that bugs me is people say, okay, I need a truck because I go to the...
Everybody always buys a vehicle for the one eventuality that they might run across one time a year. That's why crossovers and SUVs sell like fucking crazy. And everything else is just dying because those people are so terrified. I need all-wheel drive because it snows 2 times a year where I live. You hear that a lot, I'm sure. In Alaska, it's more legit, though.
I was about to say, it does snow more than twice a year in Alaska.
I'm talking about people who are like, I live in Arizona. Sometimes I go to Flagstaff. I need all-wheel drive!
What was it? So, yeah, like, I get exactly where I'm coming from. Because it's like, okay, even if you go, well, there's a point where the cost benefit, but you need to quit sleeping on these $20 truck rentals. I've used them before to get all kinds of. There was one time I was able to use a Ford Transit flatbed.
Oh, sick! So it's just a cab with a flatbed behind it.
2 seats, and like a 10-foot thing of bed space.
I love that.
Like, it was more bed space than a actual truck. So, yeah, I'm just like, okay, I got to use that for $30 including gas. See you in a bit, Luke.
Thanks, Luke. Take care. And Dancer Rigdon here, who mentioned trunks are much more secure, though. There is an element of that. Ooh, however, if your car can be broken into, your trunk can be broken. And by virtue of that, I know somebody's going to say, well, you have the glass windows, it draws attention, whatever. The security cover on hatchbacks, liftbacks, and stuff makes it look like a trunk area. It still covers it, so it's private enough. You can get all kinds of covers and stuff for that. I would still argue having that space open way more for the eventuality without changing the exterior look of the vehicle is magic to me. I love that. That's why I always feel like it's a wasted opportunity, because from a security standpoint, if somebody can break into your car, they can break into your trunk, assuming that you have a pass-through in the seat. Something like this is really just a half measure away from being a viable liftback. It's just that parcel shelf and the glass not moving that's stopping it.
Right.
That's it.
Probably.
Well, the whole chassis is designed with those elements in mind to develop the amount of structural rigidity that they're trying to target, they're trying to hit. Yeah. But you can do that with enhanced, actual, stronger cross members and stuff below, and just around and change like the actual makeup of the area around it, and you can still have a very, very rigid car. I mean, Aston Martin do it. They're all hatchbacks for the most part.
Oh, that's right.
They're not necessarily the fastest when it comes to the crowd they're playing in, but they're definitely capable. Yeah.
Sharp words, Alex. Sharp words.
Jesus, Alex, be nice. I'm not trying to scare Rigdon away. Be nice.
Oh, but He's saying well, okay.
Oh,
to
trucks.
Be fair,
I thought he said trunks, and I was like, Jesus. That would have been funny though.
I was gonna say,
Dan.
I'm right here. Yeah, no, Rigdon's talking about trunks. Whereas trucks.
I'm not talking about every truck as a wasted opportunity. It's every trunk with an N.
Man, that deflated pool is coming back, like clapping back at you hard.
I drive a 95 horsepower minivan. How much compensating do I need to do? Anyway, you got anything left to say on that before I hit play?
Great timing. All right, I could go on a tangent about just for gits and shiggles last winter. I drove the entire winter in the Miata in Alaska. Problem.
I drove in the winter here, but this ain't Alaska, so like, you are and your ND.
Yeah.
Okay, you have more creature comforts than I did. Doesn't the ND have like a touchscreen and heated seats and like other little stuff you can get in it?
No heated seats.
Okay.
Yes, touchscreen.
Really?
Yeah, it's a hard-coded thing Mazda does because touchscreens. I agree with them.
I mean, I agree with that, but okay, so they didn't integrate many controls into the
like there's stuff you can do stuff with it.
Because it would be bullshit if they integrated stuff like climate control and things into a screen that you couldn't operate when you were driving. So like your passenger couldn't do it or something. I would find that irritating. Right.
No, this is one of the many things I love. Manual climate control. It's like the Grand Touring auto climate.
Yeah.
But all the other trims, fine. Just this nice, like hot, cold, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
You pick it. It's great. I love it.
Unsung hero, yes.
I hate auto climate control. I don't know why. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, as well as like...
Yeah. I mean, I get annoyed from if I'm in a Miata, I don't want to turning my AC compressor on when I'm trying to climb a hill. And I didn't have that problem because my Miata didn't have AC. It was literally the bargain basement factory base model, but with like autocross suspension. It had like AYB HEX to fly me. Cosa K1 racing wheels, and it was on Ventus RS2 or whatever tires. Oh, which ones?
The Cosa.
They were so good.
Yeah,
they held up.
Light.
They held up to. I was incredibly impressed. I originally didn't like the way they looked on the car because I'm a huge fan of like the comp style, like basically what the base Daisy wheels on the Miata are trying to replicate, but don't make it look as cool. Those look kind of dorky, whereas like the ones they're mimicking look so cool, like classic JDM old school wheels. I love the way those always be the coolest wheels on most JDM stuff. But
I mean, I get it.
Yeah, but I had the Costa K1s because that's what the person that I knew gave me for a full set with tires, the Ventus RS2, everything. He's like, yeah, X is down. And he literally was just like, yeah, so I'm selling the M edition that I got because he had an NA. It was an M edition. Yeah, that was the car that made me fall in love with the NA Miata so much I bought one. And he was just like, you know what? For $125, you want the whole set? Just all the wheels, the tires, everything. And I was just like, because I knew what that would cost if I were to go and find those myself elsewhere. Done deal. Take them. And it's not like I was dating his daughter anymore, but he just liked me. And it was just like, you're the first person I would think of to sell these to. Would you like them? Yes. Yes, please. Thank you. But yeah, no, they were great. That car handled amazing. And it had literally zero creature comforts. But that was such a great experience. I bought a
fan.
I bought the car for $1,200.
Now you wish you kept it.
Can't do that anymore. Nope. I sold it for $25.
Bet you wish you kept it.
Yeah, NAs have gone through an insane renaissance. I will say though, when I bought it, had just under 200,000 miles on it. When I sold it, about 220 230 or so.
Nice.
So I got a good amount of life out of that car, and it was still running fine. Even with that many miles on it, it was such a little champ. I can't recommend those cars enough to somebody who's willing to tolerate the compromises that come with having a tiny rear-wheel drive lightweight road.
But see, like, to me, I actually... Well, so first off, Mod Hatter, even my friend Gabby...
It's okay, Mod Hatter. You listen enough, you will learn.
Well, one that, but... and actually, my friend Gabby's my roommate for years and been friends almost a decade at this
point.
Yeah. Jokes, she's like, whenever you start going off about those vehicles and stuff, all I hear is car. And like, that's fair. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
You don't have to like what I like.
Absolutely not. But that's why I warned everybody with the title. I said, this is going to be a very nerdy discussion about cars. Who knows where it's going to go? But we are going to fixate on details that nobody gives a shit about.
Yep.
And that's okay.
100%.
You're just here for the ride, and we appreciate that. So... And we'll watch some videos, too. We promise. We'll watch more than 2 tonight. I promise. He's a captive. He actually has to spend the night here tonight. So, yeah. Sorry, bud. Anyway, anything else to add before I hit play?
Bucky, that's an NC Miata. That's the third. That's the NC.
2011? Yeah.
That might be the NC2.
That's the NC2. They changed in, like, 09. 09 or 10. Because, remember, the NC was the same chassis shared with the RX-8.
Yep.
That was the only time the Miata's ever shared a platform with any other car.
Although, arguably, they didn't pick, like, a bad chassis.
No. Everybody, well, most everybody knows what they're talking about who drives an RX-8. Oh, see, it's probably cutting out because I have it set to not allow the sound from the video to cut in. So don't mind if I just alter this for a moment. I'm projecting as I speak. Bring this down to a friendly level. There we go. Okay. That should be much better. Now it won't cut out. Anyway, what I was saying was, essentially, in the case of the NC, it shared a platform with the Mazda RX-8, which was available at the same time for a time period, and they gave it a facelift after a while.
But 2 facelifts.
Right, yeah, you get almost the Shinka, was it?
No, I don't think they did a Shinka edition. I think they just, like, the last year or two, they went and informally, there's the NC1, NC2, and NC3. And, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
sorry. Yeah, RX-8 had a Shinka edition.
Right. So what I'm getting at is they did a facelift. This was the original, and then they facelifted it by making it look like, well, that's a small one. But there. So subtle differences, but you can see the headlights and the grille change. It has that manic grin that the Mazda 3 also shared around that time period. Once again, subtle differences, but they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could see it. Anyway, it was a good platform, and what I was saying was anybody who actually knows what they're talking about would definitely drive the RX-8, and whatever you have to say about that particular engine, it was the Renesas, right?
Yeah, the
rotary.
Renesas 1.3.
It was no longer the much-loved rotary from the prior, the RX-7 and before. It was it felt gutless to a lot of people. Even though it made more horsepower, it felt gutless to a lot of folks because the torque, the way it was distributed, was just not the same. Probably what happens to people in the AE86 and all that too. But anyway, everybody who drove it did say that the platform felt amazing for handling and all that stuff. So people will go out there and they'll pick these up. Yeah, okay, that is an NC1.
That's what Alex,
Or I can't see the front grille.
No, it's an NC1.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because the front bumper is a little different when they change over. But yeah, so 2012 must have been when they updated it then. Because I think, so 2012 is when you get the NC2 Miata. Murder. Yeah. So that's also when you get the Manigrin and slightly different shape fog light housings. Once again, being really nerdy here. Sorry, guys. So the shape changes from the earlier ones, which were, let's see, usually when you're looking, you'll find some not so great pictures. Yeah, although this one's all, people will be distracted by the wings and shit.
Yeah, like ignore all of the arrow stuff on it.
But yeah, this is like a later update one. This was like so
that's the NC3.
2014, 2015 is when you had these, where once again they changed them up. It was funny, they always gave them like cladding and stuff, it looked like, just because of the way the wheel arches were designed. But the early ones, the shape is different. So if I go to NC1 and I get rid of the...
if you just do...
Yeah, I just do NC1.
Oh, hey, NC1 versus NC2, maybe.
Oh. That would have been good. Okay.
Hey,
look at that. Perfect. It shows you exactly where the changes are.
Yeah.
The grille, the fog light housing, the headlights got a little more pointy because every car around this time period had to look angrier.
Yep.
That was the move. And then the ND just took it that much further and made it even angrier.
Yeah, this one's pretty. This one's pretty good because if you go as you're looking at it left to right, you're going NC1, NC2, NC3.
Yeah, I mean, to some people they look and they just see the same car, like it's all just the same, and they don't see a difference. I'm thinking like Westworld, like I don't see any difference. But yeah, from the side, it's not like it's earth shattering, but they are different.
The wheels are that one's a super grainy photo though.
Yeah. And then ND, where they really changed. And they actually went lighter, so credit to them. Big credit. But it's a good car. And even angrier eyes.
Yep.
And the RF looks great. Although I hear they have some wind noise issues. Some buffeting and stuff that happens, which is weird. Because you think with a hardtop it would feel more secure when it folds in.
If I remember correctly, the RFs are quieter on the highway than the soft tops.
I mean, that's what I would expect. But for some reason, I remember reading reviews where they said there's a surprising amount of wind noise, either because of the flying buttresses, which, hey, fun fact, we're here to educate, right? Flying buttresses on a car design. What is that? Well, it's these parts on the pillar on the back of the greenhouse. The greenhouse is the area where you sit. It's the outer exterior of where you sit. You have an A pillar. That's a first pillar. That's at the front of the car. I'm describing all this stuff because some people may need to learn. Mod Hatter, for example. You take the A pillar where you're at the front where the mirror is, and you travel up that pillar, over the roof, and down. Now, depending on the type of car you have, the letter goes up based on the number of pillars you have. So if you have a B pillar, it's usually behind your front window. Yeah. Or if you have a pillarless coupe, that means you don't have a B pillar. In which case it continues.
Nice looking
and
car.
They look so good. Which I'm gonna go way off and talk about like the BMW 850 Ci or something. But yeah,
or
for
the
pillarless
Mercedes,
coupes, yes,
had a C class.
The CL had that, which was like a nice, graceful looking coupe. Yeah,
so cool.
Anyway, the pillar on the back. In this case, you can see how the rear window looks flat. It doesn't match the angle of the pillars behind it. What that leaves is a space that you refer to those pillars on the side as flying buttresses because they stick out from where the glass is. They're separate. C3 Corvettes did this in the early ones. You talk about 71 Corvette Coupe. Guys, I'm getting real nerdy about this. You're welcome. So
you're welcome.
See this?
Yep.
See the back there? You got flying buttresses again. See the back window is flat. That's how you get flying buttresses because they're flying butts. They're butts that fly. Yeah. So in my opinion, while these Corvettes get a lot of shit because the C3 Corvette is when they started getting the ugly bumpers and stuff later in their life, the earlier ones like this are called the chrome bumpers and they're good.
Oh no!
Oh no! You played yourself.
Oh no!
You got. Oh no! I'm sorry, bud. That's unfortunate. So anyway, that's all I was focusing on. Now this is different because that's actually a removable hardtop, and that's really a convertible. So that's not the same as the coupe. Anyway, I went way off on a tangent. We don't need to hang out here anymore. We can keep watching Jack crawl through this interior. We're going to end up watching only 2 videos again.
I just want to point out we're 2 minutes in to this video and 50 minutes into the stream. And I noted when we paused it, we were at 30 minutes.
Good God.
Also, Mod Hatter just gave up on her thumb war bet.
No, Mod Hatter, you gotta play. All right, video continuing now.
Mark and I recently in one of our shoots managed to stuff car ramps, car scales, external lighting, a camera bag, slider, and tripod in the back of this thing with relative ease. The front seats specifically are very comfortable. You have 2 seating options on an EcoBoost, Recaros or standard touring seats. And those touring seats come in either cloth or leather. These are the leather offerings granted with the premium package. They're heated and cooled, they breathe surprisingly well, don't break down over long road trips. The rest of the interior of this car is pretty standard, and I mean that in a good way. It doesn't feel particularly remarkable, however, you do not sacrifice things like exterior visibility or storage capacity. The door cards are huge, you have an enormous glove box, and the center armrest area is cavernous, and there's a USB port in it. In fact, you have 2 USB ports in this car.
So we managed to make it 1 minute into the video. I wanted to point out something about those door cards, which is where the door handles are at. They actually manage... Oh, you actually do have tomorrow off.
Oh, no.
I thought, ew. Yeah, I'm going to be here on Friday. My buddy Evan's going to be joining us, too. Cookies sound delicious.
Hey, Rigdon, I'm glad I could teach you something. Yeah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, right. Dane Talk, it's 2 hours on 1 point.
It's worse. It's like that, but worse.
The door card actually integrates 3 different materials. It's got a cloth, a vinyl, and the hard plastic. And
in the base car.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a diversity of materials in the base car, which is nice. That's a nicer touch.
Yeah, and it's like as you're saying, it's a touch point, so it gives that. It's actually a really smart engineering decision, or design decision, because you're saying, oh, where are the hands going to be? The hands are going to be on this door card. Well, let's put more materials there, even though the rest of the interior is like plastic.
It's smart design choice, because you have to remember at the end of the day, this is a car designed to be sold at scale, and this is the volume driver. This is whoa, hey, thank you. That's very nice. Thank you, Mod Hatter. Thank you for helping people out. Really appreciate that. What I was saying was, on this car in particular, the V8 Mustang exists because the lower models sell in much higher volume first, in order to help, I guess, socialize the cost of the more expensive platform. You divide it out amongst all the other cars and start with a similar base point. You develop a good, competent chassis like you're talking about. Then you can put the higher power, better suspension, all that other stuff in it, and work from there. But you have to start with some kind of baseline. And the more of that unit you can sell, the better you can, keep the cost down, so you can sell more of them, hopefully. But yeah, no, it's an interesting point. The reason I brought up about the materials, like, is talking on the door card. It's unusual in a cheap, car to have a diversity of materials on the door cards, because the door cards are usually something that manufacturers know they can just like cheap out on it. They'll put a really hard plastic there, something that's not particularly pleasing. And they'll usually skip things like even the areas where your hand's going to touch. Even the door handle may look good at a glance, but when you touch it, it has like a really cheap, light feel or something like that. It's not pleasing to open it. And I know these sound like dorky things to fixate on, but these are real things that like car designers actually pay attention to.
Yeah.
The ergonomics are important, and when they pay attention to it and you see stuff like this and they target, okay, we'll put the nicer material here, it's nice that they spent a little bit of extra money to do that spot there, because they could have just cheaped out and given you a crappy thing all the way through. But they're thinking, and that's the kind of stuff you want to look out for if you're shopping for cars. Just saying, like, it's that attention to detail that tells you, oh, the rest of this car is probably pretty good too.
Exactly, because
people thought about it. I mean, granted, any car you buy, somebody had to think about it, to design it, to develop it. But there's usually a lot more hands tied behind their back, going on when it comes to material choices, stuff like that, in a car that costs, frankly, these days, less than $50,000. It used to be less than $30,000. Yeah. But now the average car being sold is like 30-something thousand.
Well, and
which I know is like totally alien to somebody who's used to buying, used ship boxes in my case or something. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And I say ship boxes with love. So
I bought ship boxes that were just shit.
Hey, I remember my Montero. Yeah.
I remember my Subaru because I still own it. But what was I gonna say? I also think though that there is a thing where people are like, "Oh, the new cars are getting so expensive."
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
there it is.
If you go look, there's a lot of crossovers and even crossovers, mid-sized SUVs, hatchbacks, and sedans that are in the $20,000 range. Subaru offers the Impreza starting just under $20,000 for both a sedan and a hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a 5-speed manual hatchback Subaru with all-wheel drive for under $20,000.
Well, by the end of the 90s, Subaru discovered their path to success lay in the fact that they offered something a lot of other competitors didn't at the time. All-wheel drive.
Yep.
Differentiate yourself. Every one of your cars comes with all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
Does it necessarily impact people living in California where they barely get a drop of rain and it's not going to affect their driving? If they're not a performance driver and they're an NPC who just drives cars around as a regular-ass thing, go to work, go home, eat, sleep, repeat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of owner where it's the peace of mind, like, oh, all-wheel drive in case something happens, I'll be ready. Or if I go on a road trip and I don't know what the conditions will be, that all-wheel drive makes me feel safe. And that's good. That's a great way to make you stand out from the competition. Audi more or less did the same thing, but theirs was based in their, 80s rally superiority there for a while. So, yeah, the all-wheel drive stemmed from that, but it still wasn't, always standard on their cars. Mm-hmm. And for Subaru, yeah, they had front-wheel drive cars, as late as the 90s.
Yep.
And rear-wheel drive car in the form of the BRZ, but we're not getting into that because that's an anomaly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The note of electronics, that's really the thing that's changed in the S550 over the years. After 2015, Ford went away from My Ford Touch to Ford Sync, which added things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
But I don't know where it's coming from.
It's very easy to use. It's intuitive and straightforward. In 2018, when they refreshed this car, they added the option of a digital dash. So now you have 2 gauge cluster options, an analog set of gauges, which are easy to read, easy to navigate, that little 4-inch screen they give you, or this now entirely configurable digital
Alex,
dash.
you can totally rock
your
that.
TAC, your speedo, that all changes in layout based upon your drive.
That one's cool.
It's also added things like My Mode, which is an individual drive mode, which wasn't offered in the past. The last thing to bring up on the interior electronics front is, well, the audio system. This is the base audio system, not the new Bang & Olufsen system, and it's...
Oh, I apologize. Home plate 55. I see up here. You started following, so thank you for that. Just wanted to throw that out there. I tried to figure out where the sound was coming from.
I was trying to figure that out
something
too.
happened, but the sound is the same no matter what people are doing, so I need to differentiate. I see it pop up there, so thank you.
Terrible.
Hopefully you decide to stick around.
However, it is quiet in here. The noise floor is very low. So theoretically, if you went to a component set of speakers, like from Vocal or something along those lines, you could probably improve your experience tenfold.
These guys tend to nerd out over sound systems,
Yeah,
too,
they do.
and they do their full charts and graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain component speakers in a nutshell to people if you know audio at all?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No.
I'm just for people like component speakers. What's that? What's the difference?
Well, you see, if you look in the video, if you look up by the windshield, you'll see a little bump sticking out of what is referred to as the A pillar. That's likely a tweeter, which is used to reproduce high frequency sounds like the cymbal at a drum set.
Hi,
hey,
Jamie.
That was weird. And then in the door, right by the door handle, towards the top of the door card, around just probably right in almost in line with the mirror. That's probably, well, so in both cases these are probably mid-bass speakers, which is mid-bass is more like the human voice, and maybe some drum hit, or maybe some not the kick
lower
drum.
human voice.
Yeah, well, and yeah, most of the human voice range is like the mids, and then your
this is the part where a boomer would go, "You haven't heard my ex-wife."
You're the one who did that.
Yeah, I'm the one who did that. So I'm making the joke because I can already hear in somebody's brain the winga dinga dinga, and then suddenly, ex-wife jokes are still funny, right? And then it happens. Oh wait, I just called out G Davis. I'm so sorry.
Oh shit.
He's not here.
But yeah, so what they try and do is they try and put the higher frequency speakers up top and the lower frequency speakers down low, because lower frequency is less directional, whereas high frequency is very directional, because of the way both the human ear works and the way audio works. Component speakers, the idea is you try and break it up into, you're trying to break up all those different sounds in a song across multiple speakers, so that each speaker is doing less work. So instead of okay, a guy's playing a drums and he's using the kick drum, and he's using the regular ones, and he's using the cymbals. The cymbals are being played on the tweeter, the regular drums are being played on the mid bass, and the kick drum is being played on the subwoofer. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a speaker where you try and tie in both of the higher frequency with the mid stuff, and you try and combine it into one,
it's gonna get
like when they talk about like
they
talk about like a 2-in-1 or even a 3-in-1 sometimes. Yep. You're compromising a bit, unless you also have tweeters elsewhere that carry the sound, so that it's not all focused in that one place.
Well, so
you just don't want to muddle it up so much, and the shape of an interior goes a long way towards determining how effective speakers are. Like in my van, it's literally just a box, and the sound quality is like as good as you could hope for with the shape in there, but it was not designed to be an orchestral acoustic experience. It just wasn't.
It makes noise.
Mod header, circle with little circles, go boom. Yes.
You got it.
Good job.
That's how subs work.
Ain't heard a better stock sound system in a car yet. This is 96 Ford Taurus. Jamie, I'm so sorry.
Do you have hearing damage? Because I don't want to make fun of somebody with hearing damage.
I love Jamie. I don't want to make fun of him. I think he's making a joke right now. At least I really hope. Okay, play.
Still with that, let's head to the shop.
We're underneath the Ford EcoBoost, Jack, and this is a bit nostalgic for me because one of the first videos that we ever did together was a Ford Mustang.
So dumb.
Yep, 5 years ago, Mark.
5 years ago. It's crazy how time moves on, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We can talk about that on the side.
In the bathroom?
In the bathroom, yep. So as a car enthusiast, as somebody that's excited about performance machines, my meter is extremely low, but that's not what this Mustang is about. And you had a chance to talk with the project lead.
One of the project engineers named Tom Barnes. He spent about an hour with me and we discussed this product from basically head to toe.
Okay.
And as this is the volume seller, right? Everyone knows the four-popper Mustang, formerly the V6 Mustang, is a car that has to be sold to fleet companies and to everybody else. So he has the unenviable task to make sure this car doesn't alienate the core Mustang buyer. And it is safe to say, as I said in the interior segment, there are many different groups of people who buy Mustangs. The EcoBoost, specifically the non-high performance variant, we'll talk about it at the end of it, is meant to basically target the person.
Remember what I said about, socializing the cost of it a bit so people buy the cheap model so that the nicer models can exist? This is what he's talking about right now. So, yeah, if you've ever wondered, how something like that, everybody's buying SUVs these days, it's impressive that such an affordable, coupe could exist because nobody buys two doors anymore and that kind of thing. This is pretty much it because there's a whole lot of college kids will buy a base model or something, play with it, tune it, whatever, or buy, people buy used ones all the time, obviously, but somebody had to buy it new first, generally speaking. But if they make a good platform to start with, it means when they modify it, it's exponentially better. But
this is going to be like I was saying at the beginning, this platform is going to age really well because these 4-cylinder EcoBoosts are no slouch.
No.
The turbo is spooling at under 2,000 RPM. I looked at the boost gauge.
Okay. Nothing bumped gin and juice side B harder. Okay, Jamie, I might give you that.
I have no frame of I don't know.
That's okay. Reference. I believe you, Jamie. Mod Hatter saying she'll take the entire stock. Now, Bobby.
who's looking for a replacement for a daily driver.
Propane accessories.
Someone who likes the styling, likes the image of this car, and wants something that
they look nice.
Doesn't really
no arguing
offend
it.
them in any
They look
way.
nice.
Just a regular car to them with a little bit of fun.
So one of the interesting parts about this, when you look at it, we've done so many Mustang
They're not
videos
small,
that a
though.
lot
It's
of this
about the
underneath
size
is
of my
the
Jag.
same.
My Jag is
But if you're going to look
big
at this
coupe.
from a car lover's perspective or a car person or a business
Interesting.
perspective, like you talked about,
This is
they
getting
have to
technical,
make
guys.
this sell. There's no other vehicle that's
Actually,
like this that
I'm gonna
has to
rewind.
be. They have first perspective.
So, the gray, if I'm remembering correctly, is like mild steel.
Mm-hmm.
I think is what they're going for. Bakehard, I don't know.
So aluminum is purely used for the front wings and the hood.
Front fenders, yeah.
Oh, see, I always called them like quarter panels and fenders and stuff, and then Levi insisted they're called wings, and I was like, okay.
Oh.
And I wondered if that was just like an old guy car term, because I've heard fenders called wings before, but I think everybody just kind of has their own little take on it. Boron, though.
Yeah, that's actually kind of wild.
Yeah.
Or a car person or a business person.
So the reason I wanted to pause here, that you see DP 1800, 500, 600, HSLA. Actually, I don't. Those are probably all describing different high strength steels.
Yeah, those are different grades of steel.
HSLA, I don't remember what that breaks out to.
High strength something.
Right, I'm kind of guessing.
Because look at the areas it's used. It definitely stands for high strength. I would have
Right.
to guess.
Yeah, I want to.
Huh. Because those are all like areas that in an impact are going to take the force.
Mm-hmm.
Rigdon says no wings. You know what? I don't disagree. I found the wings thing to be kind of like annoying in my own head. I prefer to call them quarter panels because to me, a quarter panel is just the panel at any given quarter of the car. The rear quarter on the left, the rear quarter on the right, the front quarter on the left, the front quarter on the right.
Oh, I was thinking like Mustangs without wings, and I was like, yeah, actually, I kind of like the Mustang wingless look.
That just sounds like a band name. Mustangs
Mustang.
without wings.
Oh, one Mustang, no wings.
You're just describing a Mustang. What you want is a Pegasus without wings.
Isn't that just a Mustang?
Is the Mustang clone in Grand Theft Auto called the Pegasus?
I don't know.
I feel like it would be.
No.
Anyway, continue.
1,000
Without going too far, I feel like the
well
crowds are the
played,
ones
Alex.
getting DP 1000. Anyway, hit play.
Like you talked about, they have to make this sell. There's no other vehicle that's like this that has to be attainable to a wide range of people, from the high end to the GT500 all the way down to a normal person that
Who
can-
has no perspective of performance. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, at least from the reviewer's perspective, is we drive everything. And to the regular person, a 300 horsepower rear-wheel drive car is sporty and it is fast.
and you could afford to buy this.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing that
But power and drive wheels, while they're important factors, mean nothing without a good weight to work with. If you're dealing with too much weight, it's not as fun.
I mean, yeah, like a 300 horsepower truck versus a 300 horsepower Mustang, but
Well, you're
but I mean, like in a
this
car
is
chassis,
the sporting shape and design that
yeah. But
people
I mean,
would
this
look
is
at.
like I don't know, probably 3,500 ish pounds, and I think 300 horsepower in that is. I mean,
how much does it weigh?
I'm ballparking. Well, actually, we're about to find out.
Oh, okay.
we start to lose sight on.
Oh, yeah,
Ford
the
could
scale.
not. They could not continue to make this if they only sold like 8,000 of these a year.
Boom!
3,500 pounds. All right. Nice. That's exactly what my SVX weighed with not as much power. It was only down about 50 horsepower, though, so it wasn't too bad. But it had all-wheel drive, and this is just rear-wheel drive. So a lot of the extra weight comes from things like, extra safety and all that kind of stuff. But
reason why it continues.
it's interesting, though. What I like about their scales is you can see the left-right distribution in addition to the traditional front-rear distribution that people care about. Traditionally, what was considered to be the ideal neutral sporting distribution was perfect 50-50 weight distribution, which Miata focuses on a lot, yes. And BMWs tended to focus on that in their 3 Series and their 5 Series a lot. But as far as the left-right balance, I always find that interesting because in this case, that is weird. It's heavier on the right side up front than it is on the left side, but the driver's side is the left side on this particular car. So the balance is 50.11 versus 49 and change on the right. But the rear on the left is a decent amount heavier on the left rear than it is on the right. So I wonder if battery placement and fuel tank. They're probably weighing it with a full tank.
Yes.
Yeah, Jamie, that's right. The goose is loose. See, once again, we're nerding out over like little things and just like, that's interesting. To put in perspective, my van, right? 4,000 pounds, 95 horsepower. and 4 forward gears with ratios that are like Yep.
Yours needs a 10-speed automatic.
Oh yeah, no, that van would be amazing with a 10-speed. Are you kidding?
And like a 5-to-1 final drive.
I have a low range on it though, so I can do that.
Have you considered that? Just start in the low range and work your way up to the high range?
The low range gets me to about 5 miles per hour if I absolutely cane it.
Nice.
Right front has middle-aged man's leg stuck in the wing fender. That's right, Alex. That's where the extra mass is coming from. It's a dude who didn't know when to quit.
See, I was thinking about it. I'm pretty sure the turbo's on the right side.
So it's a single turbo. It's not twin turbo.
No, it's
okay,
not
single turbo.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember with the EcoBoost if that was the case in the Mustang, because sometimes in turbo models
this is a 4-cylinder.
4-cylinder, yeah. In a 6 twin turbo, because then you could have one for each bank, or I don't know.
You can't you
could balance it out that way.
But in this, well, and that's what Ford does with their V6 EcoBoosts. I don't think they ever did an EcoBoost V6 Mustang.
Yeah.
Probably not to cannibalize. Probably so they didn't cannibalize the GT500 and GTs.
Right. Yeah. The V6 was naturally aspirated the whole time it was there, and the EcoBoost replaced the V6 essentially.
Well, the EcoBoost 4-cylinder.
Right. Sorry, when I say EcoBoost in the context of the Mustang, there was not a V6 EcoBoost Mustang, so I'm strictly talking about the 4-cylinder EcoBoost. The EcoBoost V6 was in most of their like SUVs and trucks.
Yep.
So that's where that usually wound up, and that almost always made around the same amount of power, unless you got a higher trim Ford Expedition or Lincoln Navigator, in which case you got like a 50 horsepower bump in some cases, where you made an excess of 400 horsepower as opposed to the normal 350 at the time. Once again, why do I know this stuff? I have no reason, but I promise if you go look it up, that's basically where I was at.
Right.
So,
or Rigdon pointing out the twin scroll turbo. That would explain why, like, again, it was building boost at 2,000 RPM, if that, which is really low for a 4-cylinder.
And Alex, that's right. It does have an oil cooler and a tranny cooler, so, it's trying. But that's mostly from the fact that it turns 5,000 RPM on the freeway. And it can't help itself.
Sure.
And they have the money to sink into the higher end versions or the enthusiast products.
Volume seller.
Oh,
that's why.
And to pause that one more time, I will allow it to keep playing, but this is the part where I have to click the run ads button. So I'm just giving you all a heads up. I apologize in advance. Thank you to those who gifted subs, because now those people won't have to worry about seeing the ads. This is just for anybody who's not subscribed right now.
I think everyone might be subscribed.
I think we may be safe. So if you guys are all subscribed, then we're safe. And if you're not, we'll see you in a minute. Don't worry. We'll probably still be paused and talking. Thank you in advance. If you don't want to see it, of course you can subscribe. I'm not forcing you to by any means, but I am recommending it as a way to avoid the ads. Also, if you have Amazon Prime, they give you a Prime sub that you can just give to your favorite streamer. And if you're watching me, chances are you're probably only watching me as a streamer and you're not on Twitch otherwise. So thank you in advance. And away we go. Okay, here we go. Playing.
This is here, and let's get into some.
I love the fact you're like, we'll probably still be here talking, but the first thing you did was hit play.
Gotta keep them on their toes. Gotta keep people on their toes.
The mechanical stuff that they did.
So this
Thank
is a
you for keeping me
McPherson-Struck
honest.
multi-link rear car, and in 2018, the S550 generation Mustangs were refreshed, both exterior and mechanical-wise. So in the front, they changed the suspension offerings in the EcoBoost. So
And the way
specifically,
you tell the
have 3
2018
packages.
and ups
in Europe,
apart
it
from
changes
the
a little
other
bit as the base
S550
car
is by
was
the shape
standard
of the
with old performance
headlights.
package. But now you have the base suspension, which is basically for the Camry buyer. You have the high performance package.
This is where I'm gonna demonstrate. Yep, we're doing that because some people need to know.
AMG.
Update.
You pay.
Update. Update.
You know what would be really funny
What?
is if I
can't type to save my life from
well,
way
you're also
over here.
offset from the keyboard, so.
Oh my God! It is Mercedes. God damn it! Okay, Mustang. Ford. There we go.
First link.
Images.
Or that.
Oh! You're right. there.
Okay, whatever. Either way.
Yes. Okay. There we go.
Oh, that's neat. Look
So
at that.
this
You
is
can do a
this is
slider.
what I wanted to do. So I'm going to try and will that do it? Okay. We made it bigger. Hooray. I know how to use Chrome. Okay, so here's the thing. This is the pre-facelift one. You might remember that shape in the early ones. That's what they looked like from 2015 until 2018. Then 2018 hit, the headlights and most of the fascia took a little change. See how they look angrier now?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit, you know. But it's enough that it did change the character of the car. Some people like the earlier one. They think it looks more muscular. This one looks just meaner.
Mm-hmm.
But that one looks kind of badass in its own way. It's
I like
tough.
them both, and I'm a little biased towards the early S550.
And I like that.
But
yeah.
I love the hood vents on the.
Yeah, the hood vents are a little better on this one.
Yeah, those are cool.
And then the rear, more subtle, but you can see in 2018 the shape they turned them into like the C shape.
Oh, on
Whereas earlier,
taillights.
yes, earlier they were more vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on yours, because yours is a newer model,
Yep.
the 2018 and up got this kind of like C shape, and then a
emphasizes
reverse
it,
C
yeah.
shape on this side too.
Yeah,
So-
they emphasized it more.
Yeah, it just gave it more definition, but it's still, I mean, the under diffuser also changed a little bit, but from model to model, it's not that big. Interior, I never paid much attention to, so I didn't know how much it really changed. It looks like, I mean,
It's
that's
like
a
refresh.
that's a big change on the gauges though.
Okay.
That's a
yeah.
really big change on the gauges. Honestly, the
Center
2018 and
console.
up center console is significantly nicer looking. This is fine for like an older school, like if you want that older school Mustang feel. They're trying to capture more of a retro vibe in here still.
Mm-hmm.
Closer to like what the S197 did. But you get over here and it's just like, oh, yeah. If I'm going to spend every day in one, I'd probably go this route.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's personal preference.
Well, and also too, this is the premium, which has that. The gauge cluster on the left is the premium option.
Yeah.
The gauge cluster here is what's in my.
Oh, I see.
Mustang.
Okay.
So that's actually an option
Which is interesting
option
because
package.
this is still a premium
Yeah.
here.
So yeah, that's the difference in there.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had to do that.
Mhm.
This is what this stream is for. We're nerding out over stuff about cars I don't even necessarily care that much about, but it's okay. Somebody cares, and I hope you appreciate it if you're out there. And share it with a friend you think might care. All right, let's keep her going.
Which is either MagnaRide equipped or not MagnaRide equipped, and then you have the handling package, which adds two
You're welcome,
65s
Mudhatter.
and a similar suspension package, what you get in the Performance Pack 2 car.
So the way that they spec this out is really, for the American market, super soft, very comfortable, daily driver.
A little bit sporty, and then basically a real substitute for a hot hatchback.
All right, so let's talk about the middle and back half of the car, Jack.
So in 2018, as I talked about, they refreshed this whole car.
And if you want to know more about a lot of those details, watch the Bullet video we did, because that was like a summary of everything. But in terms of the floor popper version,
You have a 10-speed automatic, which has gone away from the old 6-speed, and you have a revised MT82 6-speed manual. Both are actually fairly competent. In fact, the engineer says the 10-speed automatic
Literally
better
says
suits
FOMO
the
co.
personality of the base model 2.3. But the 6-speed is, again,
I've never seen
now a twin disc.
Yeah. I've never seen a part on a Ford vehicle actually say FOMOCO. I've seen Ford Motor Company and I've seen Ford, but I've never seen them actually literally write FOMOCO, which is the shorthand for it, but I've never seen it written out on an official piece.
Yeah,
I see it in like literature, but I never see it on an actual part.
I've seen it on different cast parts, actually. I'm going to rewind a bit because I'm curious what he had to say about the transmission.
Competent. In fact, the revised MT82 6-speed manual. Both are actually fairly competent. In fact, the engineer says the 10-speed automatic better suits the personality of the base model 2.3. But the 6-speed is, again, now a twin disc clutch, revise some of the internals to get away some of the various issues with the MT82 from years past. But because this car makes less torque than the V8 offering, it should be fairly stout.
Yeah, and again, it's good that they have the 2 transmission options, because when we got this, I'm glad I was super happy that it had a manual, and then you start to drive it and you're like, I don't know, it doesn't really need it. I think that I would agree with that statement that having an automatic in this car really is probably going to fit the buying demographic.
It's nice that it's an option, and yes,
That's
it adds
interesting,
a little bit
but
of
that
sport
makes
power,
sense,
but I think
Alex.
the 10-speed in the base 2.3 better suits
Ford
the character.
Mazda
And you
shared
lose
a
rev
lot of
matching
parts back then.
from
okay.
the GT in this car.
All right, let's head to the back. We'll talk about it a bit more.
All right.
I actually want to stop here real quick because I think that from a daily driving perspective, sure, 10-speed, whatever. That's fine. I think it was in like 7th gear at 40. It's pretty wild. But one of the things though is the transmission programming budget ran out outside once they finished the daily driving.
Oh, okay.
Because
you feel like it's not tuned for more aggressive style of driving?
It's really not. It thunks it into the gears.
So it's clunky. Which is weird because isn't it? It's not a DCT. It's a slush box.
Yeah.
When I say that, okay, mod header. When I say slush box, what I mean is a torque converted automatic transmission, which is a traditional style of automatic transmission, which is usually one that prioritizes smoothness over other things. The idea is you can go from gear to gear without feeling too much of an interruption. Yeah. Whereas you're driving a manual car, the interruption is kind of part of the fun.
Yeah, but
to me, I find in a daily driver, I like the smoothness. I'm good with that.
I will argue that a good manual driver can actually, a good driver can eliminate most of the
you can get rid of a lot of that. It doesn't feel like you're on your learner's permit and trying to do that thing. That goes away.
This was kind of closer to the learner's permit metaphor.
Really? It felt like it?
It's kind of...
When you're deliberately cutting through the gears.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's weird.
Because my Jag, even when I'm popping through the gears, it makes all the cool, downshifty, aggressive noises. But it still feels pretty smooth. It doesn't clunk.
You know what?
It's a ZF. Yeah, my 6-speed in the Jag.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it. It's kind of like so usually when I'm downshifting in the Miata or in any manual, I'm doing a rev match downshift. I blip the throttle.
Rev match means he blips the throttle so that when he shifts into the lower gear, it goes to more or less the RPM, the revolutions per minute of the engine, turns at. When he shifts down, that's where it would be at. Because what you're trying to do is create as little stress on it as possible when you're shifting to that lower gear. If you just shift and then you just let go of the clutch and you drop into it's going to... And sometimes people engine brake that way, but it does put more stress on the parts. Sometimes. It depends on the vehicle.
I would argue it's not really engine... Well, no, it is engine
on
brake.
An older manual, it puts more stress on the parts.
Yeah, there's the strain on the parts, but it's also just a smoothness of driving. When you do a rev match downshift and you do it properly, it feels nice and smooth. It doesn't upset the balance of the car. When you do it herky-jerky, it upsets the balance of the car.
Yeah.
And actually, here's the really weird one. When I go from 3rd into 2nd on the 10-speed, it'll actually chirp the tires. That's how herky-jerky it is.
Wow.
And... So I made a point later on to always downshift while I'm in a straight line because when it would chirp the tires going from 3rd into 2nd.
Which car was this? The Mustang.
The 2021 Mustang.
Wow. Okay.
Is chirping the tires on downshifts.
That is alarming. Okay,
That's bad.
That's not good. No.
No.
So
if it's in automatic mode, it doesn't care.
How many miles are on this?
Not
Mustang?
even 10,000.
Okay, the reason I ask is because 10,000 or even close to it is enough that the computer should have learned by this point how people drive in it, and it should have worked out those bugs just by learning over the course of.
The thing is,
computers are very advanced in cars now compared to what they were 20 years ago.
But to me, to me, I think it doesn't have the baseline per understanding of okay, command to downshift means, rev up the motor and then switch gears down. It's like the other one where if you don't rev match downshift and you just go third to second and drop the clutch, it goes.
Okay.
That's what it was doing.
That's weird.
It's so weird.
But it's an automatic.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it's like, that's why I'm saying I think they just ran out of budget.
And once again, which gear to which gear?
Like third gear to second.
That sounds like what happens in my Jag when I go from second to first if I'm moving. Because most transmissions hate shifting back into first when you're going more than about 15 miles an hour.
Oh, this one hates going into first.
But it sounds like this is just rejecting it outright. Yeah. Which is weird.
I'll have to take you for a drive on it because it does it in other gears too. I'd
be curious to see what that's like because that is weird. Alex, oil filter placement looks like the engineers giving oil technicians the middle finger for doing an oil change. Well, and sometimes that's just the owners doing it.
Sure.
Oh.
In the back, this looks like most of the other Mustangs we've seen. Now, there are some
rabble.
subtle differences, so you're going to detail what those are.
So yes, just like in other Mustangs, you have a multi-link rear end. Obviously, the suspension is much different back here.
Aluminum.
But most notably, when compared to regular coupes,
that is a
different rear gear sets.
Part.
So you have a 315, 331, or 355 rear gear ratio.
There's not too many companies doing that. It's a good option.
Or 350 different rear gear sets when compared to regular coupes, as you can pick different rear gear sets. So you have a 315, 331, or 355 rear gear ratio.
There's not too many companies doing that.
You can get a 315.
It's a good option, but why would you choose the different?
How aggressive you want the car, or if you get the handle.
Now, that makes me think you should find in your car which final drive it has.
I wonder if
it's got a QR code on it.
Yeah, well, and I'm wondering too. I see 3L31, and I'm wondering if that's a 331. Also, if you look at the casting, you can see FOMOCO again.
Oh yeah,
right there.
I guess I just never saw it because the Ford parts on my Jag just say Ford Motor Company. Like it doesn't say FOMOCO anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look and see that. See what that says.
Good option, but why would you choose the different?
How aggressive.
FOMOCO again right there in the center.
Wow, it's like I'm being introduced to a whole new world that was right in front of my eyes. I just didn't see before.
And also my name's on the exhaust. If you look at the exhaust pipe on the right, towards right where it says screenshot.
What? Oh, it is.
It's D4N, but I'm claiming it as
close enough.
The car, or if you get the handling package.
That's just elite speak.
How?
FOMOCO again.
Oh my god. And he was saying it was on the Mazda Speed 3, which was a car from the mid-late 2000s. So, man, I feel like I just missed this boat entirely. Wow.
Right.
Thank you for introducing me to something. So,
right. Yeah. Bucky, I wish it had 410s. I think it's got the 315s because it feel like second and third feel really long-legged.
Huh.
How aggressive you want the car, or if you get the handling package with the high performance package, you get a Torsen rear diff with 355 rear gears.
Yours doesn't have a Torsen diff.
So what else we got going on back here? Is there anything else?
Really, the only change or notable change moving past 2018 with the EcoBoost Mustang is you have a optional high performance exhaust.
Ooh, actually, here's a fun nerdy thing. All right, so if y'all look, let me see if I can move the mouse if that'll help.
The rental probably has 410s in the rear. Yeah.
No. Okay, it doesn't show the mouse. Oh well. So if you look on the video and you look at the top in the center, you'll see some stuff cast on it, and you'll see part of it. There's like a little arrow, and if you go like this, you see ALSI7MG. So that's aluminum, silicone, and magnesium. And
That's interesting.
Bucky, Bucky, we might be able to.
It's got magnesium after all.
Yeah, right. We would have to move something.
Oh yeah, there's a little project on the list right now.
It's pretty super.
May not be the reason he's visiting right now, but yeah. No, it's all occupado, either sport. Yeah,
Adair sport.
2018 with the EcoBoost Mustang is you have a optional high performance exhaust. So it's a valved exhaust.
FOMOCO.
Oh my God. We have to stop pausing. We are not going to make it
I know.
this entire stream watching one video.
Tour,
Jesus.
sport, or track.
This has the old-fashioned
everywhere.
one. It's just some
With the
metal
suitcase.
plates. Yeah, with the suitcase in the middle. So
FOMOCO
let's talk
strap.
about engines. So this is the base four-cylinder EcoBoost.
Yes, and which we're going to talk about.
You're going to hate me,
on
but...
the
Oh, and the turbo is on the passenger side. See, that's the...
Yeah.
But,
Alex knows what we're talking about.
Oh, gotcha. So there's another interesting... Yes, he does. Another interesting tidbit right above this muffler. It says scrap if dropped. That's the drive shaft.
Oh, jeez.
And, well, that's because if they drop, it dents and it throws off the balance. And this is a high RPM piece. So...
You're asking for something bad to happen if that thing's off axis.
Suitcase in the middle. So let's talk about
Yeah.
engines. So this is the base.
Is that a cat or a cross pipe?
Yes, and what
can't
we're going to
imagine
talk
it's a
about
cross-pipe.
on the
It's
drive
not
is
a
this
cat.
motor.
It's just
It makes
probably
300 horsepower,
resonator
but
then,
there are some
muffler.
tuning issues with this drivetrain. So based upon your heat or fuel conditions or what tuning on the drive is this.
Base four-cylinder EcoBoost.
Yes, and what we're going to
Get rid
talk
of those
about
cans
on the drive
immediately.
is this motor. It makes 300 horsepower, but there are some tuning issues with this drivetrain. So based upon your heat or fuel conditions or whatever, it will pull timing, and that's largely due to emissions, according to the engineer I talked to. But if you opt for the high performance package, they drop in the motor that came from the RS.
The Focus RS. So that's kind of the leftover from that generation of car.
It's a little different. Obviously, it's mounted differently.
That's
this
the
not being
engine
a
you
front-wheel
want.
drive-based car, and the turbos are.
That is a $6,000 option.
Jesus.
Yep.
Just buy the V8 then.
So that's because I was looking at the website. The other thing too that's I actually experienced something about that, or experienced this firsthand. The red line was changing.
No, it was based on conditions.
It would go as low as 5,500, even though it's like a 6,500 red line.
What gear were you in?
Second or third.
That feels weird.
Yeah, so I would
What?
just be like, oh yeah, I've still got a little bit more. Oh, I guess I don't.
And it literally would just hardline. It would just stop you there.
It would stop me. It would stop me
Wow.
at 5,500 instead of 6,500 RPM.
Yeah, usually you think 4-cylinder, I can rev it out, but with a turbo 4 that's a factory
Well,
turbo 4,
No, but it would.
it's a little more limited.
No, but it would go to 6,500, but then other times it would go to 6,000, and other times it would go to 5,500.
Imagine
It was a dynamic red line. You didn't know what you were gonna get.
I only like the idea of a dynamic red line when it exceeds what I was originally
I know,
given, not
right?
when it reduces it.
So
Like,
that's-
is it a safety feature? That's so
I
weird.
think so. I think it's something to do with like engine heat or something, or like maybe it's an overboost thing. I don't know.
Weird.
Different, so it has a little more boost. But that car, the manual is what you should get, because in fact it will spool all the way out to redline, and it makes a ton of power.
Okay. So we've covered this
Yeah,
enough.
you're more in the
And if
neighborhood
you
of
want to
350 with that.
see more about the Mustang and all its iterations, we've covered pretty much every version of that car. So do a search.
meant in
But
the
let's take
RS,
this
it
for a
was
drive and see what
350.
it's like.
All right.
Now I'm really curious about this part.
Finally get to see him drive it.
Back in yet another Mustang, Mark.
So excited.
Oh yeah.
I know I'm pausing soon, but you see what I'm saying? Like, you look at the gear gauge, and you saw it went to 6,500.
Uh-huh.
Mine would stop right almost where it's at.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Man, this thing would totally
Gorilla
blow the
grip.
doors off of a Prius. Okay, so
I like the asymmetrical
I'll tell you
stripe.
one thing.
Me too.
Obviously, I'm not too excited about this, but then again,
This isn't for you.
Yeah, it's not for me. But the one thing that makes this way better is having a manual transmission option.
While I don't think it's necessarily technically the better mated transmission to this engine, it takes it from basically regular economy car to a little bit fun of a daily driver. And that's really what this car is. As we talked about in the shop, this is not a substitute for a V8 Mustang. And to be fair, it's not trying to be. This is for the man or woman who's going to buy this as their sporty car, and they don't really have the perspective of owning something like a GT350 or GT500.
Or they don't need that type of power for their daily drive.
Yeah, this, if you're going to use as a
nobody
daily,
needs
something
that much power for their daily drive.
Pretty decent fuel
let me
economy,
tell you from experience,
over
it
30
sure
on
is
the
fun.
highway, higher 20s combined. This accomplishes that in spades.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with you, and it's hard to put in perspective. When you think of Mustang, you always think of V8s, you think of tires burning, at least the modern ones, and you forget that those are the weekend cars. Those really are, when you get to the higher trim GTs with like the PP2s and the GT350s and GT500s, nobody is going to drive those every day.
PP doesn't stand
and
for the size of the owners, it stands for the performance package.
I guess.
Yeah, being the volume seller, this is what makes those other cars possible. And I will say, talking to a couple of our viewers who own these, who, I'm going to be honest, like you, I dismissed this car.
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
As being not a Mustang or
Imagine
not what
if
I
it had
wanted.
a CVT.
But I think it accomplishes its mission in life pretty well. Let's talk about suspension and body control.
You mean it's a couch on wheels?
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's
So
great,
bad.
really, for it. If you're driving this on a boring ass commute, the last thing you want to do is be getting beat up, having a drone experience, and this has none of that. Now, I guess the counter argument could be made, then what's the point? But here's two things. Compared to a typical four-popper, like, your Velosters and your Civics and all that, it's still rear-wheel drive, or rear-wheel drive, right-wheel drive.
Freudian slip there.
Rear-wheel drive.
So you can get the rotation, you can still have some fun, and it's a good learning tool if you ever want to move into something a little bit more powerful. This still is safe. This is not the crash into a crowd Mustang. If you could crash this,
That
I'd
takes
like to see it.
some serious
At
talent.
least
It
on
takes some
drive
effort.
pavement. So, well, what do you think of it?
To me, this makes me appreciate the engineers at Ford Performance and what they can accomplish with the GT350 and GT500 even more. Because if you blindfolded you, and I put earplugs in you, and you rode in this car and you rode in a GT500 or GT350, you would not think they were remotely related.
No.
And it's not really a bad thing when you get into a corner.
I can't get over this four-cylinder sound, though.
The front end washes out a little bit. Tires.
It's a very safely tuned car for the mass market of people that really want the looks of the Mustang, the name, the attainability.
So there was an interesting.
It's okay,
thing.
Mod Hatter.
It's okay. Arguably, newer cars, newer manuals, in some ways.
Everything about newer cars is like, I don't want to call it neutered, but everything feels much more safe than it used to in terms of the way that cars basically coddle you in the whole driving experience. From the way the shifters behave, the electronics do so much now.
Yeah, they do.
To make sure that you don't mess up. Mm-hmm. They do a lot. I mean, I'm even talking about, like, there are cars that have manuals that have auto rev matching.
Yeah.
Like the 370Z started that trend.
And now it's like on every car.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many nannies and things like that. I mean, they interfere to somebody who's trying to push stuff, who's familiar with how older cars drive. But on something newer, yes, basically it holds your hand, and that. To somebody who's used to the way a car performed back in the day and understood these are the limits. What I'm saying is my Miata had zero nannies, and
your nannies were your right foot, your left foot, and your hands.
So basically, you understood the limits of the car, and you knew, okay, I'm not going to push that. But it also meant that when you drove hard, it was predictable because you knew what you were going to get. The hard thing about modern cars that I personally found when you like try and drive it a little more aggressively is you don't know how it's going to act every time because the electronics are constantly, the sensors are always checking, evaluating, and like your variable RPM redline, it's changing the dynamics of the situation. So it's not predictable because it could always be doing something different based on how you're driving. It's reacting to you as opposed to you reacting to it. So it creates kind of a conundrum for somebody who's used to cars with less electronics, less interference, understanding, oh, your driver's skill is at this level. But when you're suddenly faced by a bunch of electronics that can make somebody who doesn't know what they're doing look good, drive good, that person who's more experienced may have more problems because it's constantly doing things that they would never expect the car to do. It's now interfering in weird ways, and it's stifling them. Personal take.
Yeah, no, and I mean, as somebody who I love my ND because if you turn the traction control off, it's off.
Stays off.
Now, asterisk, because anyone who's done a track event knows that the
thanks, Mod.
Exactly. Anyone who's done a track event with the NDs knows that there's like some form of stability control or something that kicks back in around 80 miles an hour.
Okay.
80.
80 is a good point where, yeah, okay, I'll allow it.
But I mean, it's one of those for track use. It would be nice if you to defeat it, you have to like pull a fuse or do something crazy. But anyways,
I like knowing I can fully defeat a system if I want to. Just give me a series of buttons to press, or just give me an on-off switch. Anything you do, just give me a freaking on-off switch, and I'll decide if it's something I want to deal with or not.
Yeah. So I would say, well, I don't know, because in some ways, the Mustang, the reason it's got the variable redline is because it's a turbo motor, and because because the ECU is desperately trying to keep the motor from blowing up. You know.
Sure.
Because it's got an itty bitty baby turbo that is spinning. A 2.3 liter motor is spinning this turbo below 2,000 RPM. To do that, you have to have a very small turbo. And
because they wanted it to be responsive.
Right, but that also means at high RPM, you're way off the compressor map, and you're sitting there with a hairdryer pointed at the engine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's like not good. So that's why my hypothesis is that's why they're doing things like pulling timing and pulling the red line back, because it's.
I wonder what size millimeter turbo it is.
It's like 1. I don't know.
That's it.
I don't actually know, but it is
like maybe like a 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, anything less than 10 would be considered small for millimeter turbo. I mean, that's. I realize I'm making a judgment call here.
Well, no.
James.
I'm being facetious, of course.
Okay.
But because what was it? The BMW the N54 motor, the factory turbos on those, it's got 2, and I remember measuring them, and
you want to talk reliability? Talk about the N54. Oof.
Oh God, fuck that motor. But the turbos were so small.
Welcome, James.
And they were going. What was it? They were like 1-inch diameter inlets.
Huh.
Not even kidding. On the N54. I might have one buried in the garage somewhere still, but yeah, like it was seriously like the inlet was like that.
Alex is right. Keychain turbo. It's tiny.
Kinda, yeah. So I'm expecting that this is similar, that Ford is doing most. It seems that the current trend in OEM turbochargers is to intentionally undersize them. And when you say undersize, you're referring to the compressor map, which says, okay, with these kinds of air demands and this kind of fueling and all this different stuff, this turbo can support this field of operation. And if you hit parameters outside of it, it's not going to instantly blow up, right? It's not like cross this line and die, but it's like you're running out of the efficiency range of the turbos. You're running out of so that means you're getting a hotter air charge. That means it's not compressing as much, instead of, bumping up this much would net you 1 psi, instead nets you like 0.7 psi.
Well, and hot air is less dense and thus affords turbos less power.
Mm-hmm.
More dense, colder air tends to help a turbo generate more power.
Well, and that's something they talked about early on is if you pay for the if you pay for the Focus RS motor, it'll pull all the way to redline.
Yeah.
Because it's got an upsized turbo.
Because if you drive a car that has a tiny turbo and you've ever thought, ooh, turbo, exciting, and then you drove it and you're like, why does this feel like it? I drive it a little bit through the rev range and then suddenly it just feels like it falls off a cliff and dies and there's no more pull.
Well,
tiny turbos feel like that.
And that's what the base EcoBoost Mustang is doing. I will say they do it better because they do it better than other cars I've experienced because it's still like does stuff.
Okay.
It's just more like you're not going to build to a higher horsepower or a higher power output.
You're not going to mod it anymore without changing that turbo for a bigger one.
Maybe you can, I don't know. But
the engine could take more stress than that turbo is able to provide.
Well, because the N54 guys...
Oh, I'm talking about that in the case of the EcoBoost.
No, but like... The N54 guys would sit there and be able to get 25 PSI out of the factory turbos that were originally meant to produce 8.
Yeah, but I would be terrified that it's going to send itself into the stratosphere.
Yeah,
the next chance it gets.
They're turning the pistons into liquid, and the rods are taking a walk down the street.
Yeah, and the Vanos light comes on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it's one of those things like you can get more power. Like I think some people were. For a while, bragging rights was getting 500 wheel on stock turbos.
Yeah.
Which is cool in the hitting a number sense, but it was not cool in the sense that it's like, dude, your motor's not going to... Like, your turbos are spinning, like, at such high RPMs, so far out of the efficiency map, that it's like, all you're doing is successfully nuking your motor faster.
Yeah. You're just getting to the final destination that much quicker. Yeah. Okay. 20. Yo, Dino, welcome. And James, what's in your dad's collection?
Yeah, love to hear about that.
Tell us all about it. Curious.
All right, now we're gonna hit play.
And we'll keep playing the video.
Ability of the price point without all of the drama and excitement that disappears.
And all the negative parts associated with that.
Yeah.
Really, in that department, I think this car excels. The front end feels big and it's not the most communicative, but as a daily, it does well. My only complaint with this car in the base EcoBoost that this is the drivetrain. I'm going to demonstrate why. It doesn't wind out quickly, which in a 4-popper, small displacement performance motor is a disappointment. And the way it delivers power, it's cutting timing, it's cutting boost, for no real reason at all, at least perceived to the driver.
Well, we're running 93 octane here, and this is just something that I complain about with a lot of modern 4-cylinders. And we've talked to enough engineers to understand why the experience has gotten more inconsistent. You're trying to take a small displacement engine, jam a ton of boost into it, try to give it this huge horsepower number while still maintaining the fuel economy numbers and all the emission standards that go with it. So that's just the reality of something like this. It's not going to be, this is not a high performance machine. It wasn't designed to be. It's designed to give the buyers just a taste of the Mustang brand.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think if you...
Well, and what he's talking about when it comes to like that economy car feel, this is where I know anybody who, if you're watching this and you love Mustangs, you're probably going to cringe at what I'm about to say, but EVs are a much better replacement for your standard economy cars. Those any 4-cylinder thing that's not a performance offering, an EV equivalent to that is almost without exception going to be better because it gets rid of all the noise, vibration, harshness. It eliminates a lot of those other issues. Now, when it comes to charging and all the usual bullshit people complain about, sure, you can take your issues up with that because there's not as many stations to do that with yet. The infrastructure will change over time, but the expectations right now are skewed. I'm mostly just putting it out there because...
You're talking about from a driving experience standpoint.
I'm putting it out there as like, instead of having a little 4-cylinder with an overstressed turbo providing a occasionally fun but mostly frustrating / mediocre experience in some cases, get an EV that would deliver on that. You wouldn't be able to shift gears because EV, but maybe have something that's like an approximation. But in that case, I think for something like, for the people who buy the Kia Rios and the Sportages and all those kinds of things, get yourself. I know, right, Alex? We are fucking professionals, dude. We managed to make it 18-minute video take an hour and 50 minutes.
In our defense, I think we started the video like 20 minutes into the stream.
It's true. We were like chatting before that.
We've turned 16 minutes of video into an hour and a half. Okay, but hold up, James.
Yes, James, sick.
What is
sick in a good way?
What is the Toyota Subaru? I gotta know.
Toyota Subaru. Does he mean the Toyobaru, like a BRZ or a FRS or a GT86 or an 8? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah,
I would assume that's what he means by Toyota Subaru. He likes Fords.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
I'm seeing a little bit of a I think he has a thing for Fords.
Well, but I'm partial. I like the idea of the 68 Vet because that's super early.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, 8.6. Because the 68 Vet is super early C3 Corvette, like I was showing before, the chrome bumper.
Yeah.
So 67 was the last year of the C2 Corvette.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, James, that 68 Corvette, that's a C3, isn't it? The longer, really like big Coke bottle curves and stuff. People made fun of them in the later like part of that generation, but I love the early C3s. I think they're a great looking car.
Yeah.
I just think that the later crash regulation stuff kind of made them ugly, but the early ones with the chrome bumpers are beautiful. Shelby Signature Edition though, wow. Ford GT. Okay, Ford GT. Are we talking like the 05, 05, 06 Ford GT? If so,
There's
that's amazing.
3 different Ford GTs that could technically be.
I know, right?
Like,
but when somebody says Ford GT and they know we're talking about Mustangs or something, and in the case of just saying Ford GT, you're skipping the Mustang. You're going straight to the actual GT. Yes,
son of a bitch.
Brand new GT. Yes. So you're talking about the 2016, 17.
Yeah, those are nice.
Those are crazy.
Wait. I'm thinking the Ford GT, the Ford GT.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. No, he's talking about, I mean, I'll pull it up here. I mean, most people will know, but yeah, no, if I pull up 2017.
Like the flying arches?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, those arches are so pretty.
They are one of my favorite designs on a modern supercar.
I mean,
the Ford GT just looks fantastic. I can understand why you'd be a little protective of it.
Yeah.
But they're very good looking cars. And that design for the rear though is so cool.
I'm just here all fucking day for just that flying wing, like arch wing on the side.
It's the pass through.
The fact it's a pass through is what makes it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's such a big space. It's totally different from what other cars in this. Yeah. There you get a good look at the gap.
If you look at the passenger side mirror and you look behind it, or like what is
massive gap, or that too. Yeah, you can just see.
Scott?
Yeah. Hey, Scott, welcome. Hopefully that one appreciates as well as the last generation. He barely drives it. Well, my guess is, James, you can correct me if I'm wrong. He's probably holding on to that in the sense that it'll probably appreciate at some point.
I don't see it depreciating.
Oh, no, it won't depreciate. But I think the 05, 06 ones caught some people off guard because there was a certain point where they see, I remember, this will blow your mind.
Okay.
In Boise, I remember seeing in 2008, like right around the financial crash time, there was a Ford GT, blue with white stripes, sitting on a used car lot.
What the fuck?
For sale. Not like the owner owned it or anything like that. It was for sale with all the other cars. And it was just out there. And they were asking $120,000 for it, I think.
Okay.
Which, when they were new, they were about $150,000.
Yeah, so it actually managed to depreciate.
And I'm talking about the mid 2000s Ford GT, not 20%. The newer one like this, which is much more. But yeah, no, that's also why you got the signatures. Yeah, so I mean, he's not putting miles on them because he is kind of banking on the fact that someday they will appreciate a good amount. That's cool, though, James. I mean, yeah, in most of those cases, those are cars that right at the time you get them, this is not going to depreciate. In most cases, you're sitting there. And the Ford F-150 Shelby, those are silly. If you ever see those, and not the Raptor, but the actual Shelby ones.
Yep.
they're interesting. I don't know if it'd be my first choice, but like it's a fun concept. It's cool that somebody did that. The Raptor though, I always hear the Raptor. I've ridden in lots of Raptors, but I always hear from people they're like some of the nicest riding vehicles on road or off road. And I mean, in my experience, they rode really nice, but I always see journalists bring up like, oh no, the Ford Raptor is like the best on road comfort level short of like luxury cars.
Maybe that's part of why they had such appeal.
Down to those Fox trucks. But the beauty was, otherwise you could still use it like a normal truck. There were no weird compromises. Like, remember the Dodge Ram SRT10?
Yeah. I love
it. He buys and sells cars a lot. We'll get a car and he'll sell it in a month. Okay, yep. Hey, you know what, James? I've been there, not quite a month, but you know, I moved through a few at a time.
Yeah,
at a few points.
I can't talk too much.
More
shit.
recently,
I'm looking at selling the Subaru. Like
he just sold the Demon. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm looking at selling the Subaru, and
mad about it. Sorry, dude.
I can see why. Yeah, like what, the Demon or the Subaru?
Sorry, you're confused, Dino. Oh,
no,
sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the Subaru, it's not going to make it a year. It might make it 8 months or 8 or 9 months. So yeah, that's that. Like, I can't talk too much shit about. Oh, you're selling cars too fast. Let's finish this video.
Yeah, I know, guys. Oh my God, 2 hours.
A sporty EcoBoost.
We gotta finish this before 2 hour mark hits.
You know, for most people, they're not going to notice the inconsistency in tuning. It delivers a lot of torque down low, and it makes decent power, and it is pretty quick. It's mid-60s in the low, 5-second range, and all the inputs, specifically the manual gearbox. Pedal box is superb. It's really
apologies in advance. You're about to get a 1 minute ad break.
Gearbox is still on.
You don't want to see the ads. You can always subscribe.
That's from an enthusiast perspective, this car sucks. From a normal person car, like somebody that's not ridiculous like us, this is mostly what every single person would dream of having. And I get it. I totally get it. And I don't get it at the same time. It's confusing.
So I guess with that, Mark, you want to head to the final thoughts?
Not really.
Why not really?
Final thoughts on the EcoBoost Mustang. Now, we've already done a video of this a long time ago. The evolution of it has not changed all that much, but the main takeaways are, as this platform has evolved, they've gotten higher horsepower variants from the GT, the GT350, the 500. You can see just how capable this car is. That's not this. This is a value proposition for somebody that's trying to get into the brand, the Mustang brand. The other part is, we all don't live in a world where we have disposable income. We have other responsibilities, and not everybody can go out and dump $50,000 on a weekend car. So this kind of tries to do everything that you need, from fuel economy, going to a dealership and not getting bent over. They're very common. You can negotiate the prices down, and you still get a lot of the good things that Mustang is known for. The other parts to talk about are comfort. This is extremely comfortable. You can still, it has a usable trunk. It reminds me a lot of the Ford Fusion in terms of usability. The back seats aren't totally horrific to get in. And you're a bigger person, this is something you can use every day. You can go on your drive to work and never think twice about it. The fact that it still has a manual transmission, it's rear-wheel drive with optional gear ratios in the back. There's not too many cars like this on the market, and I can see why it's such a volume seller. And if you're an enthusiast, we talked about this in the shop. This is the reason why we get higher-end Mustangs. They sell the hell out of these, so they have the money left over to continue development on more exciting products. Is this the best driving thing ever? No, and it's not trying to be. It's going to scratch that itch for somebody that doesn't need all the crazy horsepower and all the other things that the other cars bring. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Nice.
Whoa! 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 22 seconds.
We barely made that, guys. I can't believe it. It's incredible, honestly. We managed to break our record from the other night of one video per hour to one video per 2 hours.
Then we're going in the wrong direction.
And we're just talking about shit. So you know what? I mean, I'm gonna take it from the gallery here. You guys in the comments, chat. talk to me here. I know this is not a good record to be setting. Although it says something about the fact that we actually have a good dynamic. We can chat about this stuff. So yeah, I mean that's cool. But yeah, minor trucks. So anyway, that's fun. Just wanted to throw that out there. But I think, obviously I love regular car reviews. But is there something you guys would like us to check on? This is for me to throw it out to the chat. What would you guys like to see us do? And James, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. That way you're not missing out.
So, yeah. You ain't first, you're last.
Y'all making fun. You know what? We try and, we got a good dynamic. I think we can chat about most of the stuff and nerd out.
I like, maybe I'm giving myself too much, or us too much credit here, but I'm like, well, it says something when your channel is doing more than just watching a set of videos,
which I usually have to do by myself. I mean, yeah.
Well, and that's not you provide good commentary. It says something though when we we're able to make that one, we have so much commentary about that one video that it actually takes quite a while to get through it.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had that much to talk about that it didn't matter. Like, even when they were nerding out over stuff, we pause and nerd out over something different. And that's okay. Yeah. But, I enjoy this, but there is something that I like to do on this channel. Perhaps you would like to partake.
Oh, no. I think I know what you're going to do.
You want to watch the spectator drags?
Oh, I thought you were going to do the button.
No, not the button. I'm keeping it car related tonight. But if we do some spectator drags and just...
let's go for it.
Here, you got to type, though, because you're over here. You guys, we're going to watch some drag races. And James, I apologize. There's no Discord, but I welcome somebody to make that if they're interested enough. I didn't feel like I had a big enough audience to justify that yet. Also, I'm not very Discord savvy, if I'm honest.
So there was another thing, too. I don't think they fully did the EcoBoost Mustang justice in that when they were underneath it, there was aluminum control arms. It's a dual exhaust. It's actually a competent handling chassis.
Yeah.
And
So this is good though. Where would you differ from what they said?
I would say they're correct that it's not. So coming from the MD Miata versus this, obviously I get it. They're not comparable, bro, because they're different price points, different demographics.
Sure.
Coupe versus soft top, 2 seats versus 4 seats, small boy versus not small boy, trunk versus okay, sure, fine, whatever. But from a driving standpoint, the MD, it has a naturally aspirated motor. It has 6-speed manual. It has 4-wheel disc brakes that are appropriately sized to the vehicle, and it's got really good handling. I don't care that it's an electronic power steering chassis. I don't care it has electronic power steering.
Sure.
I have plenty of communication. I know exactly what the front end is doing. I don't care.
It communicates enough.
Yeah, it communicates plenty. And whereas with the Mustang, I have to do more work to figure out what it's trying to do or what it wants.
Well, like he was talking about, the front end felt big. Well, obviously, because one of the most important design traits of the car is long nose. My Jag is the same way. I have slightly numb steering, but it still communicates to me what the front wheels are doing in most cases. It's just not as communicative because it's also trying to be a luxury car. It's a Grand Tourer, so it's not trying to be as sporting, but it's also very fast. So it's like finding that balance.
And I'll argue too that there is something to be said for changing the tires on that car. I really think a decent summer tire.
It unlocks that next level of you just pick up some. I mean, well, there's a few options.
DWS. Would even be a good. I would say that's a good starting point.
I've got Extreme Contact Sports on the Jagger, Extreme Contact Sports, and I'm happy with those.
Yeah.
But, on the Mustang, fortunately... unfortunately on the Mustang, it's much easier to find tires for that, especially on the lower models, because you don't have wacky, huge wheels in the back. You're trying to fit it onto something that's much more common sizes, and thus a lot less expensive when it comes time to replace them.
Yeah.
So if you want to shred tires, you could do it with that, Good tires are key. Yes, Alex, they go a long way. And in the winter, too. Snow tires are God mode.
Yep, I love them.
All right, spectator drag time. So hopefully everybody's buckled in. We're about to watch some crazy driving shit.
Spectators, please! Let's crash them. Oh, we got a pickup truck.
Oh, the accents are already correct.
One of the racing empires of one of these.
Yeah, C5 and an F body. Third gen. Sorry, not an F body. My first instinct is to say F body, but it's not. Yeah, it looked like it.
We got a lot of them out here.
Yes, Dino, you're
Correct,
right.
Dino, yes.
Snow tires make no sense in San Antonio.
No, they really don't.
Except for fucking February 2021.
Oh, yeah, that was
I looked
exciting.
through that bullshit.
Everybody was like, wow, a Mach E is there? There's some weird and interesting... An E65 series.
No, I don't think that's an E60. I think that's an E90.
Okay, you're right. The back looks like a 3 Series, but the front looked like a... No, you're right, though. But, okay, I recognize this spot on the fog lights, that shape, that's an E90 trait.
That's what I'm thinking.
So, 3 Series. Okay, I'm with you on that now. Initially, like, squint a little bit and sit back, and you're like, oh, an E65 Series. But the rear looked too short. So, yeah. Over here, probably a V6 Challenger with underglow.
Yeah, the Challenger.
Love that.
Oh, yeah.
There's an E65 series.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, we got another one out here. Holy smokes.
Holy smokes.
That's an old Hornet race car. It sounds
Should finish
like.
this in about 17 hours just in time for the Q&A. Damn right, Alex. Damn right. Love you
Thanks,
too.
Alex.
Thanks, dude. 15 centimeters of snow in Boston.
6 inches.
Man,
6 inches, yeah.
Hazy.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Alaska,
BMW.
we had our first dusting a few days ago.
Yeah.
And a Mustang.
Yeah, Dino, exactly. That's, 15 centimeters definitely is snow tire weather.
Yeah. Like, the snow tires, people laugh. I got snow tires for the Jag.
I know.
I got those, was it the Nokian Hakkapelitas?
Yep.
And let me tell you, it was almost impossible to find some that were in the correct size because that's a very low profile tire and a very wide tire.
Yep.
But I found I think I found 285s. Like that was as narrow as they had for that. Well, they had narrower.
285 is wide for
a snow tire.
For a car tire, yeah.
But a 30 profile.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, so
that's
imagine
rough.
looking for that. But mine had studs on them, so they're actually like spiky boys. But on this driveway, can you blame me?
I would be curious how a studless would do.
I would be too. I just
also
found that
understand-
I was not taking a chance when I was spending $800 just for the rear set of tires.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I get one chance at this.
Yeah, no, like, I get it.
But I normally, I don't like studs normally on a car. Like, I don't like tearing up the asphalt and all that.
Well, and they also, there was actually Tire Reviews, a YouTube channel, TYRE.
Oh, yeah. Canadians?
He's in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he'd actually found in several different, cold weather tests, the studded tires were, the studded tires didn't perform as well as the studless winter tires.
I've heard that because the studs oftentimes actually reduce your traction, with the one exception being
ice. And also, by the way, interesting thing, smooth ice.
Right, and that's why I got the studs, because ice on my driveway, I was contending with that, and I was like, no matter how good the other stuff is, the reason you get snow tires, for people who don't know, is the compounds are different in tires depending on temperatures. You want to go softer with these. I mean, summers are going to be. Oh, what's going on?
James DM'd you with probably pictures of the. I forget which vehicle Alex was asking about earlier.
I think he was asking about the Demon that he sent.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, no, like you're saying, it's a different compound.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. I was actually taking it was a Continental Viking Contact 7. I could bend the ribs apart, the tread ribs apart.
Yeah.
And you could actually make them go almost perpendicular, or you could bend them like all the way over.
Yeah.
It's very soft. we've been in mid 2020 or mid.
Oh yeah, see, there's the 68. It is the
Oh, that is pretty. You should hang it up, hold it up to the camera.
Yeah, here. So, sorry, that's the best I can manage for right now, but that'll give you a good idea. So, yeah.
That is a pretty Corvette.
Yeah. Yellow is an underappreciated color, you know? No, that's clean. Very, very clean. Thanks for sharing, James.
Yeah, thanks for going through that work. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mid to 20 for most, into mid 20 Celsius for most of September, October. You should have snowfall by now. Yeah, like
bursts of one. Yeah, dry.
I mean, Alex, I do studless in Alaska, whereas everyone and their mother runs studded tires.
Sure. And you can hear them coming from 5 miles away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would argue it's not that bad. But
okay.
It's
okay, Dino. They're just straight up illegal there.
Yeah. Well, and it was like it was the Japanese government or some entity in Japan figured out that it actually studded tires were causing higher rates of asthma. And
what? Because it was releasing stuff.
Well, because because it's chewing up these particulates and shooting it in the air. So
interesting.
So they were like, yeah, so studded tires are fucking up everybody's lungs.
That's fascinating problem. Wow.
Yeah, it's like
wow.
And I don't know. To me, like, and I realize we're driving,
no, you're good.
But like to me, that's partly why. So there's like. I'm an iconoclast. I've kind of figured that out about myself. Finally,
you don't go on the road well traveled.
Especially with what I'm about to say.
No. Also, that's a charger. You can set your phone on top of that flat and it'll charge it. Or you gotta line it up right, I guess. Anyway,
sorry. Like, I mean, there is a part of me that I drive the Miata in the winter in Alaska to just with studless tires, studless snow tires, just to be like, look, you don't need what you think you need.
Yeah, and there are definitely snow tire elitists who have fun, like being that guy, like, I drive a Ford Crown Vic with snow tires and I'm fine, you know. And they are fine.
That's me.
Yeah,
because,
totally.
Like,
I did it with my Miata too. I drove with the top down with snow tires on in the NA. And that was just like a thing because the heater in that car, well, I didn't have AC. The heater in it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is fine.
Heater is so strong.
Weirdly powerful. You're like, why is this so strong?
Yeah.
Winters are good for sideways stability while cornering versus just acceleration and braking.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like front wheel drive for winter, and I understand that. I always felt like it feels a bit compromised trying to steer and power the same wheels. Like in an emergency situation, but I understand why it feels safer. And for most people it is.
Yeah, the engine weight assists braking and assists.
Well, that's why a Porsche 911 is always disturbingly good in the snow, even with somewhat regular tires, because all that weight is past the rear axle, so all the weight of the car is nice and focused right back there.
And as you, if
early I0 is nice. All right, James. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Let's keep getting.
We'll keep watching. So what I was going to say is this is a Mach-E, but this is a Mach-E GT. For those who don't know,
I didn't know that.
It's a Mach-E GT because you can see it has the contrast color grille. The non-GTs are just body color, where that grill is, because it's not a real grill.
Yeah.
It's meant to look like that, but that's how you differentiate the GT from the standard Mach-E. And the GTs are actually pretty quick.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Electric.
Yeah, see, it's black. However, the wheels are also performance wheels on it.
We're going to be able to tell whether
this 3 Series, what do you want to bet? That's a 335i with the N Series motor, and it's...
If it's a 335i, it's the N54.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's going to be an N Series motor, N54?
No, that might be the LCI. Life Cycle Impulse. That's like their mid generation refresh where they do like a front bumper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't because the hood has
we'll know when it moves, but I'm waiting for it to like having
or it's a 328.
Or it's a 328. That the roof being wrapped is also the drug dealer tint on the windows. I'm thinking, I mean, what is it about the E90 Series 3 Series that just brings that out of people?
Oh, this ain't cracks.
I like good tint.
Hey, call an Uber!
Yeah, see? GT took off like a fucking
It's a
rocket.
335.
Oh, it is because dual exhaust, yeah.
That's the dead giveaway.
Ford,
Yeah.
I can hardly hear that Mustang.
Girlfriend's T-Bone, really icy. That thing
Wait
just
for me, I can catch you.
owned him.
Oh, you blew him out of the water in that Mustang.
Okay, you know what's dorky though? The light up Mustang symbol on the grill. They're doing
It's
the
very
freaking Mercedes badge thing where the light up. And you know what's funny?
He's special.
I promise there is a very, very noticeable distinction on like sales figures for the cars that got the light up logo versus those that didn't, and I think it skews heavily towards the base models. Just say,
I'd love to
make
have
of
that
that
data.
what you will, but I think that
love
is
to have that.
very true.
It's like so quietly.
Oh,
This
the
little
pickup
kid.
truck.
Yeah. All right.
Ooh,
46.
E46 M3, all right.
Yeah, Ford F-150 or Ford like Super
Purr,
Duty
purr,
from
purr.
like
Racing gets a crew
350 series
cab
on a
Ford.
BMW.
Well, that's like, I think it's a 250.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ford versus
that's a
Ford.
250. That's not a 150. They didn't offer
Well,
four. They didn't
that's
offer
lasting
4
long.
doors on a 150 back then.
Oh, okay.
Fords.
Oh, I thought he was pulling it off because he had
Yeah, see, that's a 2.
Oh, okay.
50. Ford F-250.
Yeah, Helbig system. Mine's a Taurus and 70/30 front. Yeah, rear front.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Beamer! Yeah!
I just like, I'll take the MD and spin it in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And people will look and just give me like a thumbs up.
Yeah. They're like, that's awesome. Hey, go you. That very distinct rasp you always get.
Yeah. Why does he have his
Oh, you
hazards
smoked
on?
them. That pickup truck I saw in 1992.
I don't know.
Slow as molasses.
Got down there,
Bingo.
It sounds like he was shifting through the gears that last bit there.
Man.
I was like, how many gears of redneck did you go through there?
I don't know what he was hoping to accomplish there. Like,
I mean, I don't.
I'm not saying that just because it's a truck, because there are other spectator drags I've seen where trucks kick ass.
Well, if he just.
But
wants to
that
go
is
do
not the right truck if you're planning
Okay.
to win. But if you're just hanging out,
Yeah, I was
and
about
you're
to say,
having
what if the guy just wants to go have fun with his truck?
the reason I bring that up is I
Yeah.
think they have to pay to go in there,
Yeah.
and then they got to sign a waiver.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but you're opening yourself up to all kinds of shit that could happen to your car. Are you willing to take that risk? I mean, those.
that's an F-250.
But that particular body style, you
Yeah.
can ask Luke Berge wherever he went. Those ones are actually gaining value now. Like, people actually care about those.
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah,
particular
right.
body style. I know there are people who absolutely love those. If you're one of
yeah.
them, feel free to weigh in the
OBS
comments.
forward, baby.
It's just
It's not
how
my
it is.
speed, but
no,
you know what?
I
like
just
what you like.
I know when I see the enthusiasts, and there is a big enthusiast crowd for that body style.
That's true.
Of Ford F-Series pickup.
What name the one that
The
we don't
90s are calling, you know?
Oh, there's a Camaro out there.
These
Look at that.
accents are
Look at
killing
that
me.
great Camaro down there.
Look at that Toyota
That's a-
Camry.
yeah,
What the
that's a
shit is going with that hood?
384
Dude,
Camaro.
it's stripped out. Look at that.
Oh,
okay.
with a big air
It's
blower
ready.
on
It's
it,
ready for
too.
action.
Yeah.
This is an
Ooh,
early
I
third
like that
gen.
Camaro.
Yeah, but that's also a
Z28
Buick
right
Regal
there.
Turbo.
Yeah.
I'm going
That's
for that.
Yeah.
60 horsepower. He's actually got some go.
Yeah.
That might be all-wheel drive.
It's all-wheel drive. So he's going to get a better launch if everything's right. But
Yeah.
that third gen could have some mods that make it hook. Yes, Dino, for you, it's an Opel Insignia. I
Oh
believe.
shit.
Yeah, see, he did hook.
Come on.
Good old
wonder
third
if he-
gen.
Yeah, I wonder if the Buick
Oh,
are.
man, there's
But here in the
rubber.
States, we call him the Buick
There's
Regal.
contact, man,
Yeah.
Because Buick took all the Opels and just rebranded them to
there. Can you
Buicks.
get him back?
Oh.
Come on.
See,
darn it.
I think
no.
I think the Buick's like either
that's a
launch or didn't want
bummer.
to break something.
Yeah, he might have been babying it
Yeah.
on the launch. Because he probably feels like it's made of glass or something.
I mean,
I see a Corolla
Or the
behind that
Fritz
Stang
player
there.
in the number 8
oh yeah,
ride.
yep.
I think
Yeah.
The Corolla's gonna race the
I'm
E60.
just racing Empire
Okay.
in this
Also-
one.
The reason I feel like this
SN95.
Camry might actually win against the SN95, and for those who don't know, the new Edge Mustang is an SN95. They just facelifted the SN95 to make it the new Edge. So technically, that wasn't a different generation, even though it looked very different.
No way.
It's still an SN95. Yeah, there's an E60 in line.
Yeah,
I feel.
Empire.
Here's the funny thing: when I see these races, okay, FYI, that's a Mach 1, so it has a little more power than a standard
Yep.
GT.
305
Yeah.
versus 260.
Exactly, yeah, because that was a unique color to them, among other things.
Oh.
And the stripe and the hood scoop and the spoiler were all specific to the Mach 1 from that time period. But I'm only mentioning that because
Alex.
somebody in the comments there is like, $10 the camera has the infamous rear bumper down. You're so right, Alex. I guarantee if as soon as it moves past us, be looking for a freaking dent. But right now, look, he's running Steelies. He's got all these graphics on it. I might have to put my money on the Camry because I feel like the driver behind the wheel of that has way less to lose than the guy in the Mustang.
I think the Mustang's going to win.
Mustang,
I'm
I
gonna
think
be
on
contrarian.
paper the Mustang should win.
I think in this
But I
race,
feel like the Camry. This is when it comes down to like a balls of steel thing. I feel like the Camry guy is just gonna be like fuck it and just like go absolutely ham. I was watching a different one of these the other night, and there was a minivan that ran into another minivan and decided to start a war, and it just got crazy. I did not know that was gonna happen. So that was exciting. But this Camry, he looks like he could be dangerous for all the wrong reasons. Watch for the dent. Is it there? Oh yeah, the Mustang's just walking him,
Man,
huh?
that Mustang is gone.
It's gone.
We're over here trying to see if it's got the death.
It's hard to see in 144p.
Yeah, I know. That's one. digit too many.
Hey, the scoreboard came back on. All
Oh, he looked up before. Come on, where'd it go? Oh shit.
V6 with
Yeah, that's right. Okay, this little kid's great.
I gotta hear that one more time.
I say, see you later.
power seat.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I
I
say.
say, see you later, sucker.
That's awesome. So, all right, here comes an E65 series versus a Toyota Corolla.
Is that a
If you slide it more to the left, I think the Charger's more. Oh, you got it. Okay.
those are good, Toyota Corolla? Yeah, and the BMW.
Is it a Corolla
BMW's got this one.
XRS
I'll
or
be
S,
shocked if it
perhaps?
doesn't.
No, it doesn't look like it
It's
has
a
the right
Corolla
body
one.
panels.
Okay,
It's a
rack
Corolla,
that'd be pretty cool.
It's a Corolla. It's Corolla meh. Mod had it. That's right.
Jumped the
Wow.
line.
E60 took off. And I think that's a 525 because it has a single exit exhaust.
Could be a
Oh,
528.
here comes that
Or
Corolla.
528.
Oh shoot!
Oh!
It's like the E60 thought he was gonna rock on or
I
something.
wonder if it's an XI. Like he was all-wheel drive. See, that's the thing. These Toyota drivers with their clapped out Corollas and Camrys, they got bigger balls than the other
Well, they're
folks.
also higher on the bank, which
Yeah.
I've noticed over the last few videos. When you're higher on the bank, there's a higher. It seems like there's a risk of.
Well, when you're higher on the bank, you're immediately at a disadvantage from the beginning of the race unless you can launch harder than the other guy. Generally speaking.
Exactly, Mod Hatter.
Yeah.
See you later, suckers.
Corolla tried, but no
BMW.
cigar.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, we got Corvettes
C5
back there. Here's a
Corvette.
right here.
There.
I'm going for this one.
Oh, I love this. Okay. Classic 90s GM trait. One fog light on, one fog light out.
I'm
Dad's
going for
Suburban,
this one.
the 01, did the same thing. I swear to
Chevy
God.
Corvette.
GM daytime running lights from that time period. Anytime there's a fog light, there was always one that was just out.
I'm
Also,
not sure what that is.
hold on, I need to see it roll up. It's stumpy. Okay, the general shape of that initially gave me.
Chevy Cobalt.
Initially, it gave me Pontiac vibe, but it didn't have a hatchback, so it's not a vibe. The second gen vibe is similarly shaped, though. If you look at the
Oh yeah.
from
it
the
does have
front,
that
if you
dip.
go like 2008
Uh-huh.
Pontiac, vibe.
I got a story about the Pontiac G6s.
So yeah, this is the first gen, but I'm talking about the second gen, which is way more. Look how upright that front end is. That's essentially what I'm talking about. And if not for the fact that it's a hatchback, it's pretty similar. Although I think a Suzuki SX4 shares some traits.
Maybe I'm having a hard time visualizing that.
I love the hatchback version of the SX4 because it was all-wheel drive and it was the cheapest, smallest all-wheel drive. But the sedans were kind of dumb. The earlier ones were fine.
It's an SX4,
but they're very stumpy. Like look at how upright and stumpy everything is.
Stumpy.
It's very stumpy. You know what? Also, the friggin' if I replace SX4 with Aereo,
this car has seen some shit.
I think that's
what
the Aereo. Remember the Aereo? Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm way off in space
again. Is what
again.
inspired NPC cars.
Yes. It might also be, but from the front.
I was thinking Cobalt.
I was almost like Saturn, but yeah, Cobalt. It's just so.
Sentra.
That's exactly what it is. It's a Sentra. Remember the weird bug-shaped Sentra?
Yeah.
What was that? 2007.
Same. I would argue it's the same vintage as all these other stumpy cars.
It's
stumpy.
Stumpy Sentra. It's the one when they did the SER that looked really silly. Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, it has to be. Yes. Dude, look at the shape of the pillars.
Yeah.
That's gotta be it. Dude, look how boxy and upright. They're all designed that way. It's so silly. It's gotta be that. Look at that rear pillar. The windows match up. That is definitely what it is. Which makes sense because,
Nissan
just gonna send it, bro. Oh yeah.
Oh, you closed. Oh no, you didn't. Okay,
I didn't. I'm gonna unpin this so I don't lose track of it. All right, going back. Yes, this car has seen some shit. It's trying so hard though. He's just bouncing off the rev limiter. Oh my god. Oh god, he's nearly tipping. Wow.
We have another Corvette here.
C4
yeah. And this is an earlier C4.
It's
you can tell.
5K21. No, that is a 6K car in Alaska.
There we go.
Oh man.
I'm going for the.
Cars sell for ridiculous prices.
Yeah, burnout.
I really want to do Conrad.
Yeah, that's an earlier C4 because the bumper has the inset front lights.
No way.
No, that's a Toyota Corolla also, it looks like.
No, Honda Accord.
What? Shit. Oh, yeah. Okay, the trunk is longer than I was saying. That's a clue. Oh, man. The front's so fucked up, it's hard to tell. Oh, God.
Oh, he gone.
Oh, he gone.
Corvette.
This shit's over. Done and done.
Corvette, pull the way. Look at him all the way back there.
These accents are sending me.
Just now entering
Corvette, pull the way.
Corvette.
Wait, what did the kid say?
He just now entering turn 3.
Corvette versus
Corvette.
versus
Smoked
Corvette.
him. Wait for me,
The kid wants
He wants to see the Corvette's face off. And
Oh, Challenger. I'm going to go for the...
camera operators chug some moonshine by the looks of it. See, Alex, that is part of the fun of these videos is the amateur nature in which they were shot. You never quite know what they're going to focus on. You just hope it works out. And most of the people around that person, if not the person themselves, are inebriated.
See, but I'm surprised that Alex is looking at him.
Sounds like the last reunion Dane went to. Thanks, buddy. Modheader, if I had a Firebird, I'd be content with my life. This kid's amazing. See, isn't that great? Spirit animal. There you go. Okay, I'm telling you right now, that Mach-E GT, gonna walk this Challenger.
Shit, but even if the Challenger was a V8, they'd probably sell.
Oh yeah, the Challenger would still suffer when it came time to turn.
Here we go, Challenger.
Because the Mach-E has all-wheel
Look at
drive.
that. The lights are cool.
Man, that's
I don't care.
He's having fun. Wait a
Fast and the Furious.
Wait a second. Is
That's
that?
a V6.
It's a V6, but I was like, what the? You put a Hellcat badge on
dude,
it. That's what I was looking at. I was like, that looks like a Hellcat badge.
I gotta tell you a story right now. All right.
A yacht versus a fat horse. Let's go.
So,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have you seen the the people do like the Hemi badges and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll see like 392.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a factory one they put on there.
But then people have started doing 345.
Oh no!
When they get the 5.7 V8.
That's not a thing, guys.
It gets
like
worse.
I understand it's literally a thing that you can do, but it's not a thing from the factory, which instantly makes it not legit, not cool. I mean, it's dorky in its own way. Whatever, do what you're gonna do.
It's not the worst thing. But it's still kind of try hard.
It's the equivalent of people who buy an EcoBoost Mustang and put EcoBeast on a badge on the side.
I'll argue it's not as bad because
it's getting there. It's getting there.
But so you know what they say about all those numbers on the sides of the Dodge, right?
Okay, Alex has a point though. I didn't see any yellow pool noodles on the corner, so we're good there. Good job, Challenger owner. Anyway,
Chris really liked the pool noodles on his.
Oh, I know. Everybody likes the pool noodles with the little
and
cards.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't. I don't know. It's one of those.
It didn't add enough weight for it to be a problem. It was just like one of those things when you saw it. If you were the kind of person to be annoyed by a dumb fat, it really annoyed you. And then if you're the kind of person who likes that kind of thing and you want to be in the in club, you're like, oh, I got to do that. I got to leave them there. Or the ones that killed me were the ones that were people who went out and bought them to put on.
Yeah.
Like your car had them taken off already because that's what they were. They were shipped with that on there. And then somebody went out of their way to go and buy them and put them on as a fashion statement.
Well, and the dealers would also, like, at first they would do what they were, supposed to and take them off and throw them away.
Right.
And then they figured out and they left them on. Well, I wouldn't be surprised to find dealers that went and threw them off, went and took them off and then sold them on eBay.
That's funny.
I'd bet. I'd be like...
Would they adhere as well the second time?
Well, because the thing is, it's not adhesive.
Oh, is it like a static thing?
No, it's a clip. There's like body clips that go on the bottom.
Oh, so they're actually okay.
Clipped
I've never
on.
actually looked that close at it. So they're actually like dense plastic that clips.
Yeah, no, it's like 1/4 inch.
I thought it was like vinyl wrap.
No,
almost.
no. It's like 1/4 inch molded plastic.
Today I learned, guys.
I taught Dane something.
He taught me something. Yeah. Ooh, that's ringing in my ears. By the way, if you're watching right now and you haven't seen an ad break, that's because one is about to happen right now. So if you're not subscribed, well, you might want to be. Otherwise, you're going to get hit with like 60 seconds of ads. I promise it'll go by fast. I apologize.
It'll help the ringing ears go away.
Yes, that's right. Just, get it out of the system. Don't worry, guys. I'll make sure you don't miss this. We'll keep talking here for a minute.
He's going to start straight in the video now.
No, I'm going to talk to you this time. I just had to get that out the other time. But most people are subbed here, so they're safe.
Yeah, so do you know what they say about all the numbers on the sides of Dodges?
Oh, what do they say?
It's their credit score. You know what's worse? I encountered somebody whose Dodge had 345, and I told them the joke.
Oh dear!
And they were like, "Actually, mine was 400."
No.
I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh, no.
Man, I understand.
What?
I'm like, I understand that's like a bit of a privileged thing there, but like,
Sure, but I mean, like the jokes stand as the jokes because there's some level of truth. We just lost 3 viewers. I imagine they were the people who might have related a little too hard to that. Sorry, guys.
oh no, we just lost all the Dodge.
Either that or it was the ad, but I'm gonna go with the Dodge.
we pissed off at all the Dodge owners.
Just left. So for those of you who are still here, thank you. But man, okay, time for a little Ford versus FOMOCO versus Mopar. Let's go.
I thought you were gonna say Ferrari.
American
Wrong movie.
Great movie.
Great movie, yes. Directed by the same guy who did
No
Logan.
way, no Mustang. Mopar
Again. I just love. I love the hope in this guy's very, very accented voice, and it's immediately shattered.
One more time.
Let's go. Yes, Mad
Exactly,
Hatter.
Mad Hatter.
It was a great movie. And Logan was a fantastic movie by superhero movie standards. That's a very high bar for a movie there, whereas most are like annoying.
Mustang. Mopar
Mopar
Challenger.
Challenger. My brother in Christ.
Pleasure or not, that Challenger's gonna give him for the money.
What?
Are you seeing the same thing we are, buddy?
I think he's trying to say the performance
that's
value or
rigged.
something.
Boo! Stupid Mustang electric.
I knew.
All the
As soon as he
butter.
lost, it instantly comes out. The EV hate just immediately shows up. Nobody seems to hate EVs more than people. The degree to which you love muscle cars is like directly an opposite correlation to how much you like EVs. I don't know. My
Yeah,
brain's
it's.
shutting
I know
down,
exactly
but
what you're
yeah,
trying to say.
no.
It's like
If you
it's
love muscle cars, you hate EVs. And so Dodge is going, shit, because the future is full of EVs.
yeah, and then they made the
They made the
weird
Banshee.
angry cat angry
Sound like a cat
car.
in heat. Oh, no.
Dane, did you see what the channel name is?
Are you serious, man? I love this so much. Yeah, Mod Hatter, I said what I said. Oh, Mod Hatter, have you not heard the new Dodge Charger Banshee? Yeah.
Oh no, it's got 16.
Oh, God. Yeah. Dodge Banshee.
E-muscle.
E-muscle.
Sound.
Dodge Banshee, that's all I have to say. Okay.
It says something.
You're gonna hear
Bob
it.
watched the drop with you.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
okay, that's right. I'm gonna play it again though for people who don't know.
We're gonna take 60 minutes to get through this 2-minute clip.
Oh my god. No.
Oh, it's.
Come on. You can do it. You can do it.
This dude blocking the other guy.
There it is. Do it again. Come on. That's enough of that. Okay. Just so we all can, yeah, Mew. Wow. What is it? The Nintendo Wii sound of it? Wow. Oh god. Oh yeah. Alex, man, this is.
Was it on the rails ever?
This is how it works, dude. I'm not at my day job. I'm in control of this. I can do whatever I want. Although I would like it if people stuck around and actually watched, so I should probably listen to what you guys say too. Okay, we got the E46 versus the Mach 1. All right.
I'm actually really. This is an interesting.
Yeah. That should be a good watch.
Here we go.
I'm Daddy's little race car.
It's even worse when you think of it as somebody with daddy issues.
No. No. No, not that Mustang. Damn. Got the jump and never lets go.
You can tell which one of the two Chevy races.
Yeah.
This is looking like a Mustang show. What in the world is this crap?
That's
so
how you know.
mad.
I mean, he's Dale Earnhardt fan, so he's a Chevy guy, but he like leaves it. What I like is
Chevy.
So what I like about the big three, like when it comes to the Warriors for all these different brands, the Ford and the Chevy people are like against each other, and then the Dodge guys always kind of wind up with like a participation trophy. But the Ford and Chevy guys really love going at it, but they seem to have like, it's okay, Dodge. I'm Mopar. I'm okay with you. You're not my favorite, but I'm okay with you.
Yeah, like
he was excited for the Challenger, even though he's Dale Earnhardt guy. And I promise you, Dale Earnhardt never got behind the wheel of a Challenger.
Downtown.
Unless it was like a personal one on his own time. But, you know, he was a Chevy man. It was all about them Chevy big looks. And that E46 looked a little too nice to race too hard, so... Don't want to break it.
You're going to see Corvette versus Corvette.
Yes.
Called it.
Yeah, he knew. So I bet that Mach 1's going to face off against the Mach E.
I like that. Old school versus new school.
See you, Alex.
Have a good night, Alex. Thanks for making this fun. We appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks to the daddy issues.
And please tune into the Q&A. Well, he'll be there too.
Guest reveal.
I'm going for that BMW.
Mad at her. She's gonna come in tomorrow just to slap me and then leave.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I love the purple interior lighting he's got going on.
Oh,
Ooh.
off.
Ooh.
Oh, he's gonna try it on the outside. Oh, man.
Wow. Okay.
Jeez.
He's gonna understeer though, isn't he? No,
Wow,
maybe.
How about that for GM?
Oh, yeah. All right, buddy. All right, good
That
job.
was weird.
Good job,
I
dude.
think the BMW threw the race.
Oh,
It did look like he looked like he weirdly held up.
versus Mach.
Yeah, it's Mach versus Mach and Vet versus Vet.
It's gonna be a mockery.
Now I've driven the Buick Regal, that exact one and stuff, and I found the straight line power was good, but it liked to kind of plow a little bit. It felt like
To plat. Yep.
yep. It felt like maybe like a an Audi S4 kind of like a little front heavy.
Yep.
Where it's like it's not an RS4, it's an S4, so it's like it's kind of sporting intentions, but it's not quite all the way there yet. And yes. Continue, Mod Hatter. Continue.
Old school. 1984 versus
TOS, terms of
1999.
service.
I think so too. Here we
Oh,
go.
no, nobody
This is gonna
cares
be
about that.
good.
You're not allowed to show blood.
Chevy versus
Real
Chevy.
blood. Fake blood is allowed, but real blood is not.
No way.
And obviously porn.
And feet and female consenting nipples.
Smoke down, baby. Smoke
Yeah, I
in
think
the
they got
fans
nipple
fine.
rules. The C5. Yeah.
Oh, the silver. Oh, watch the black one. Oh!
Silver Bull walks the black one.
Oh!
They do like the black Corvette.
Oh!
Shit! Oh no!
Black one beat him out. There was contact.
Oh, right there's contact. Oh, buddy.
Send you home packing. Bye, see you next year, buddy. Mustang versus Mustang.
Oh man. Little flag ref.
The ref's busy throwing back a bud.
He's basically throwing back a bud
I'm
with a
gonna go
carton
blue.
of
I'm gonna go
Marlboros.
blue.
I went for this dude's accent. That's right.
No!
No! He
I'm going
hates
for the
them
blue one.
god dang EVs.
4 blue, baby.
Oh, he jumped! Holy shit, he took off though.
He jumped, but it's pretty clear.
Yeah. It's clear even if you hadn't jumped, you would have.
Yeah.
You can hear that thing trying though. And he's okay.
Closed in. Oh my gosh.
I think think it's because the Mach-E let off.
Yeah. But in that point, it comes down to the fact that the Mach-E's also got all-wheel drive. So he's going to be able to pull way harder out of those corners.
Oh my gosh. All right. Corvette versus Buick.
Yeah, now we're talking GM party.
I gotta hear what the last bit.
I'm going for the Corvette.
Of course you are, Dale Earnhardt fan. 388.
You want the Corvette to win just so he can afford the fix. Actually, it doesn't look like there's that part of the thing.
No, who's tail?
I thought it was driver's side Corvette to passenger side. Or driver's side black to passenger side silver.
Okay.
Oh,
You got the launch
the
though.
whole shot.
Wow.
Bye, Felicia.
C4 made him look like he was standing
Bob,
still.
This Corvette's gonna smoke
hear
out
that?
that yellow one.
Say that?
Yes!
Oh my god, I mean, he is on YouTube, so he hangs out on the internet a little bit at least. I doubt he's watched Friday, let's say that.
Got him on the whole shot. Bye, Felicia. Oh, I think this Corvette's gonna smoke out that yellow one.
Oh man.
He's got consistency on him. He's got prestige. Yeah.
Prestige. That's the point where I'm like, he's drunk.
Oh, he's in a few cans by now. That laugh.
This one, Tom. Don, don't you?
All-wheel drive, dual electric.
What up, buddy? What up?
My man is toasted. I think his buddy's just reading off the sales brochure on his phone or something, telling him the stats.
Went to your race car door at the Mustang.
Really?
Oh boy. God damn.
I have a million
$1 billion bucks.
Down.
Man, they really don't like it. Jeez. There he goes again.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if the EV's losing charge.
Probably a little bit of that, but I don't know fully.
You can't do peak acceleration or
I know in the Teslas that's how it works, but I don't know in the Mach-E if that's not. I don't think it's a you have to have it work that way.
Who's wondering what's going on.
I know, right? But I'm looking at it as I don't think that C4 is totally stock either. I think it's kind of sleepery, but it's moving fast enough compared to some of these other cars.
It's a ZR1 or not?
I mean, if it was a ZR1, I guess an early ZR1 they had about 375 horsepower. But the front bumper,
I don't know if they even had a ZR1 in the early Corvettes.
1992 or 3 is when they facelifted it.
Yeah.
And the front bumper got those nice flush mount turn signals and stuff. This is an earlier one. The ZR1 was available pre-facelift, but it was lower power back then. It was about 375 horse. And feel free to look it up if you don't believe me.
No, I think you're right.
But then, so the later ones got up to 400, 405, which, I mean, the engine in those is super cool too, by the way. Very cool. It wasn't a fully Chevy design. It was Mercury Marine.
Yeah.
So very interesting tech went
Lotus
into that.
did
And Lotus did tuning on it.
Yeah.
So the C4 ZR1s, I don't think they're kind of slept on by people. I think they're underappreciated. I don't think they're unappreciated. I just think they're underappreciated.
I think that's going to be my V8 car.
That would be a sick one if you could find it.
There was one for sale in Alaska for $25, not even a year ago.
You make me want to watch the ZR1 video that Jason Camisa did. But first, we got to finish this. He's so happy.
Takedown.
Chevy takedown. Chevy tucker gerbs.
You guys want to make the race one more time?
No, he'll lose.
There we go again.
I think
the vet's gonna beat him harder this time.
Well, because I don't know. I think.
Oh my god, look how much shaking is happening.
Oh, that's from the stands.
Yeah, they're all stomping their feet.
Oh, they're gonna change lanes there.
I think it's because the Mustang's down on charge.
Yeah.
Invert.
Because like you're saying about the Tesla.
All right, you guys see the race. Make some noise for that Corvette.
Get out of the way. The Mustang's gonna hit you.
Get out the goddamn way! Oh shit!
He missed the flags or something.
It's like he got complacent and he totally suffered for it. Man. It felt like he was gonna hit the wall there.
I was worried.
3, so we got one more.
Should go one more.
Best 2 out of 3.
Oh, they wrecked. Someone's calling Uber before this night.
Yeah, it's you, buddy. You're drunk as fuck.
No, he can handle his liquor. He knows how to hit.
This isn't me making the pounding sound. It's that guy, but I'm just matching his energy.
Oh, here we go. Switching lanes. You
Yep,
picked
they're
the low
listening
road,
to you
now
and
take
following
the
your
high
directions.
road.
Yep.
Oh, the flying guy's probably up there.
Oh my god, these guys are stomping so hard. Oh, boy.
Whoa.
Yep.
Oh, come on,
Man.
Corvette. Come on.
Oh, he's
what the
losing him.
world? You were the first
So, I
one,
guess-
not a fluke or something. Oh my gosh.
Did you see the guy throwing his hat?
They're so mad they lost to an EV. Now, as we get to the point where more and more EVs are showing up at this stuff, they're just gonna keep getting more angry.
It was
Oh my
right
gosh.
there.
Yeah.
that guy with the red
That
sweater.
guy's going, God damn it! That son of a bitch! Freaking out.
We are almost at 3 hours of stream.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. You probably want to get some sleep.
I probably do need to get.
You probably should. I was just gonna see if we could.
No.
This one's probably pretty
You
quick.
realize we managed to go 2 videos in 3 hours?
I know, we're doing better. We're doing better.
No, we're doing worse. We did 2 videos in 2 hours.
We can't allow that to be the only 2. Oh man.
If we are dead silent.
Yes, let's just behave and watch.
A ZR1 rounding a sharp bend might startle other motorists. And any driver about to use the full force of ZR1 brakes must be aware that other cars might not be able to stop as quickly. I didn't write this. This is literally a quote from the book, the driver's manual that came with the original ZR1.
It's a cool looking driver's book.
The sound of the LT5 engine under hard acceleration in full engine power could disturb other motorists.
It's in all caps.
And so, like any other old guy at a car show, I'd like to tell you all about my car.
The front shirt. Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, that was so dumb, dude. Oh boy.
Prior to the new flat plane crank Z06, the ZR1 was the only Corvette to ever have more than 1 camshaft, and it had 4. It also had 32 valves, 16 fuel injectors, and 11 throttles, plus 3 daddies.
It was the quickest accelerating car you could buy. It was the fastest too, with the exception of one 12-cylinder Ferrari. It generated the highest skid pad grip ever recorded.
And they look
Posted
good,
the
honestly. I
second
know
best
some people get
slalom
C4
number.
That was the most power shifting. Jesus, like a chainsaw.
That's where
decimated a
Fast and
Porsche
Furious got
911
it from.
Turbo
Oh my
around the
God, that was
racetrack.
aggressive.
It would cost half the money.
And yet, it was a complete and utter marketplace
Yeah,
failure.
see, that's an early ZR1.
We'll get to that in a minute.
The ZR1 was a 4th-gen Corvette, and though it may seem today like the existence of a Corvette is a given, there almost wasn't a C4 at all. While the Corvette was a huge marketing win for Chevrolet,
1983
historically
was a
it
weird
didn't make
time for
money.
them.
To fix this, Chevy ramped up the price of the previous generation C3 Corvette,
That's a late
doubling its
C3.
price
Those are
in
the
10
ugly
years,
ones.
even accounting for inflation.
Which still looks
In
fine,
fact,
honestly,
in
but
1980
people got
alone,
mad.
Chevy raised the price of the Corvette 4 times. And yet people bought it anyway.
And so, perhaps begrudgingly, GM brass gave the go-ahead to create the first all-new Corvette in 20 years, and the first ever Corvette not produced under the watchful eye of its creator, Zora Arkus Duntov. And because the market had gotten used to the higher pricing, the C4 could go high-tech. It had a 5-link rear suspension that garnered praise for its handling. Also, it had the most acute angle of any windshield, and headlights that tumble forward 162.
I always thought that was fun. Yeah.
Also, its radiator was angled back 15 degrees.
My single favorite attribute of the C4 comes down to the fact that when you flip the hood up, though, the top of the tires is exposed. I always thought that was so cool. It's a little detail, but it looks really cool in person. The whole engine bay looks super cool in a C4. Cooler than like other Vettes up until very recently.
This was good for cooling, but it helped the Corvette team reach another one of their targets, which was minimizing frontal cross-section for radar. See, a typical car could be seen by a radar gun at 3,000 feet, but not the C4. Its body's made out of plastic, and the first thing the radar would encounter was the radiator. Angling the radiator backwards meant that a cop couldn't see your feloniously speeding ass in one of these until just 1,500 feet away.
Nice.
And that kind of design target is why American car companies rule. And if you think I'm joking, I'm not. I learned it from this book that was written by the guy who made this car, and this is awesome. Yes.
The rest of the C4 was well liked. The only big letdowns were an interior that was made out of pure disappointment and a quivering structure made from soggy corn dog batter. One of Malay's era small block that made the same horsepower turned off as it did that full throttle. The big problem, though, was that the Corvette suddenly had a bunch of Japanese competition, and a major bomb was about to drop in the form of the Acura
NSX is such a good-looking car,
Chevy
though.
had no choice but to give the C4 serious
That's
firepower.
right.
They started by evaluating turbocharged V6s, and then realized that a V6 in a Corvette is sacrilege.
They've been very quiet for a while.
So then they went to twin turbocharged small blocks, and that's awesome. They were making more than 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. And so they put GM's then president, Lloyd Royce, in one, and he got a little overzealous with the throttle and spun it right off the road. Cool.
Oh, sleepy.
If this sounds familiar, it's because Mark Royce, his son, who himself applied too much throttle in a C7 ZR1 and spun it into a wall during the 2018 Detroit Grand.
To be fair,
Fucking snores. Wait, is that like when you snore to mask what you're doing?
Oh, To be fair, that ZR1 is an insanely, like, borderline overpowered for what it is thing. It's a little crazy.
Doesn't matter, because the twin turbo V8s would have never met the Corvette's fuel economy standards. And all of this is irrelevant because GM didn't have a single transmission that could deal with all of that turbo torque. Turbos make torque. And if you want to make crazy horsepower without crazy torque, you need crazy revs. Small block wasn't going to do that.
As it turns out, Lotus, which at the time was owned by GM, was working on a new 4-cam 32-valve V8 for its Etna show car. And so GM asked to put those 4-valve heads on the old small block, which Lotus did. Unfortunately, at the factory, the C4's engine got mounted from the bottom, and the wide Lotus-headed small block was too wide to fit through the frame rails.
Somehow, the Corvette team talked GM management into allowing Lotus to build an all-new, from-the-ground-up V8. It shared no parts with the small block and made 400 horsepower. That's 50% more power than the small block did from the same displacement. And 30 pound-feet of torque more, for good measure.
Unfortunately, it had a 4.55-inch bore center. And if you're a GM guy, this is another sacrilege. Small block Chevy V8s must have a bore spacing of 4.40 inches. It's just tradition.
Just how it's done.
Let's be honest.
You know?
Bore spacing
Why do we have traditions? I don't know.
The experience of an engine. But it meant that Lotus had to redesign the entire thing. Smaller spacing meant smaller bore, which meant smaller valves. And ultimately, the thing could only produce 375 horsepower. But it did so without incurring a gas guzzler penalty. And thus...
When I'm right, I'm right. What can I say? They eventually made 400, but initially they only made 375. You're welcome.
The LT5 was born.
I'm so humble.
Actually.
It looks cool, though. It looks so
yes.
Lotus didn't have the capacity to actually build the engine, nor did GM for that matter. So Chevy contracted Mercruiser, a division of Mercury Marine, which made inboard engines and stern drives. And they chose Mercury Marine because of its experience with complicated aluminum castings.
Lotus did the engineering and durability testing at the same time as Mercury Marine was setting up a special factory to build the LT5, at the same time that the Corvette crew was engineering the rest of the ZR1.
Okay, this is where things get weird, though. I'm going to point out a very interesting tidbit. So, this is, once again, extremely nerdy stuff, and we're down to 6 viewers, so I feel like they're the hardcore ones. They're going to appreciate this.
It went briefly up to 8.
let's not get our hopes up. So, the tails on this. Remember, early C4 generation Corvettes had circular taillights, and they had this distinct dividing line in, yes, Corvettes are life. Thank you. Glad you got to join. Snack Snock. I think that's your name, right? Well, welcome. I'm glad you're following. Appreciate that. So we're having fun, like, deep diving some really nerdy stuff here, so just bear with. No, that's cool, man. Thanks. There's not many people who stream about cars on Twitch, so I felt like there was space and a niche, and I wanted to talk about them. So you like trucks more. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm just glad you're here. So we're going to talk like some pretty nerdy details. But anyway, bear with. And if it's interesting, feel free to follow us up, do whatever you want to do. And
stick around.
Check back around because I'm always doing different stuff. Oh, look at that. That's so
Mod
nice.
will just gift you a sub.
Mod Hatter will just gift you a sub. That's cool, man. That's cool. Thank you. All right. So here's the thing. This is like super minute details.
Yeah, so the tail.
On the C4 Corvette, as you'll know, standard C4s from this time period had circular taillights. So, like, if I type in 1984 Corvette rear.
Rear view mirror.
Damn it! Autocorrect.
Completed.
Fuck off, autocorrect. Okay. And we'll just do that. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Well.
So, yeah, I mean,
circle.
Yeah, so we'll pull that up. This is what the rears on earlier C4 Corvettes looked like. Yeah. Circular taillights, dividing black, body color thing. Yeah, it just divided it up. And then when they did the facelift, they got rid of the dividing line. I mean, it was still kind of there in the seam, but the taillights became what I like to call squircles. So they became these squircles, and you can see, yeah, so exactly. So suddenly you got these squared off, but still rounded, so squircle taillights, and they got rid of the, black colored accent piece that went all the way around. And this is where things are weird, because this is a ZR1. The ZR1 was the introduction of the squircle taillights that later found their way onto the base model Corvettes, but it still maintained the dividing line. Just a weird little break in history before they all eventually turned to squircle and got rid of the dividing line. Super small details that nobody cares about but me.
On the old front.
So this is the standard. This is your standard Corvette from the same time that the ZR1 was just coming to fruition. The ZR1 introduced these squircle taillights,
but retained the black
body line for the first early gen. So see squircle with the black.
The front ends on all of them. Then they went to.
So see this, you have the squircly taillights, but you have the dividing line. So
the dividing line goes away in the later ZR1s, along when the front bumper changed.
But all the Corvettes changed and gained those taillights with them, and the dividing line went away. So it basically like telegraphed what was going to change in the future before it happened. Got it. So just like funky little details, kind of like how in, for example, 1962, the rear end of the Corvette is what the eventual Stingray Corvette would have for a rear end, but then they changed the front end. So, like, if you look at 1962 Corvette, once again, why do I know all this stuff? No real good reason. It's just, how it is. But see, from the rear, you've got a Stingray rear end, but it still looks like this at the front. So this is what the early 60s model Corvettes were like. And then in 1963, suddenly you see that rear end now has a front to match. So it's still the same rear end, more or less, and the split window notwithstanding. But then you see the front shape changes entirely. It's a whole different car. Looks totally different.
Yeah, no.
But the rear remains more or less the same.
So
so basically, it was a prelude of what was coming, but they were doing a whole half of a damn car and changing it.
So GM did it again with the C4 ZR1.
Yeah, so in a way, it was kind of doing the same thing.
Is this like weird unintentional
a weird
homage?
thing. So like once again, look at the rear end of this 1962. It's the rear end that eventually became the rear of the 1963, but the front end totally changed.
Yeah.
So then you go to 1960.
Way different.
And the front is basically the same, but the rear is completely different.
Yeah.
It's the same up front, but from the rear, totally different car. So anyway, once again, super nerdy detail, but that's the kind of stuff I love figuring out and finding. And no one else will care about me.
But so it's interesting that history repeated itself again. That with the C4.
And I don't think they meant to do that. It's just kind of what happened. They wanted to give it like a distinct trait, and then they liked it so much they just kept on doing it. Yeah.
Man. Anyways.
So anyway, today you learned, hopefully.
Yes.
Will it impact your life in any way?
Allowed the LT5 to go from discussion to production in only 3 years, which is half the time it would have normally taken.
5.7 liters makes this bigger than any overhead cam V8 in production today. It's huge!
It's a big boy.
It was also beautiful. But those 16 individual intake runners are telling this has VTEC. No, not really. Sort of. Let me back up and explain to you. Those fuel injectors needed to be able to deliver
Mod Hatter, I'm not doing that to necessarily show off it's a wonderful, amazing thing. I just like to point that out because I feel like it's one of the weird things that I just retain information when I notice a weird pattern and a weird shift, and I just feel like, oh, I picked up on that, and nobody else cares, but for some reason it just sticks in my brain. And then this is finally my opportunity to tell someone else about it. And I'm so glad I have a captive audience of people who at least tolerate me enough to go, okay, Dave, fine. Just say your shit and move on. But that's what it is. So yeah, I just feel good to have gotten that off my chest. Thank you.
400 horsepower worth of gasoline, but also had to have enough control to deliver a teensy little amount of fuel for idle. And they couldn't do both.
Lotus's solution was to go to 2 smaller injectors per cylinder. At low revs and low loads, only half the injectors were used. Half the intake runners would be closed off, and the other half connected to intake valves that rode on mild camshaft lobes, tuned for low RPM efficiency and torque.
At some point, 3,500 RPM, half throttle, the computer would open those other 8 intake ports and start to fire those other 8 fuel injectors. But here's the cool part. They were fed by intake valves that ran on a higher lift cam, so it could make more power at high revs.
Nice.
This was the best of both worlds, right? It could be tractable and fuel efficient at low revs, but then make a ton of power up high, like VTEC.
That's a cool design even today.
Except with VTEC, all of the intake valves are running on the high lift cam profile, so this is really half of the best of both worlds.
But unlike the Honda, you had to manually switch it on. In normal mode, the LT5 ran on the low profile cam lobes, with 8 of the runners closed off and only half the injectors working. Even kneecapped like this, the LT5 still made as much power as the regular Corvette.
And it pulls like a pushrod V8 too. It runs completely out of breath at 3,000 RPM. It's really cool to experience. However, the ZR1 has a second key. You can put this in the center console, turn it, and then the engine can breathe through all 16 intake runners.
Hell yeah, brother.
However, the key can only be removed in normal power mode. So if you lose this key, you're stuck with a 210 horsepower ZR1.
However, anytime the full engine power light was illuminated, which was as annoying
My
as a check
SVX
engine
did
light,
that kind of
you
thing
got
too. It's so
375
funny.
horsepower. And that was enough to earn the ZR1 the title of the most
They're
powerful
operating it
American
for
production car.
375.
It was also enough to shatter 7 class records and 3 endurance world records. including
If it changed the horn, that's a fun idea.
That had stood for 50
It just turns
years.
into a like
Said in 1940,
foghorn. It's just like a banshee
modified
hell
Duesenberg
scream.
with a 1,570
Dukes of Hazzard one. There you
cubic inch
go.
Curtiss Aviation V12.
That's 25.7 liters of displacement.
I'm sorry, what?
In 1924-hour endurance record that had stood for 50 years. Set in 1940 in the Mormon Meteor 3, modified Duesenberg with a 1,570 cubic inch Curtiss Aviation V12.
So ridiculous.
That's 25.7 liters of displacement. That's only 5.7. And yet, the ZR1 took that old 161 mile an hour record and shattered it, averaging 175.885 miles an hour for 24 hours. And
Think about how
by
fast
the way, it's not like that
175 miles
record
per
was
hour
just
feels.
sitting
Now
around.
average that.
Ford tried to break it in a
That'd be
Mustang.
crazy.
Failed. Audi tried to break it. Failed.
Mercedes also failed with its C111,
Which was also a very cool
prototype
car.
designed to break records. The ZR1 was just a production Corvette you could buy down at the dealership from Bob. And so, as you can imagine, the magazines lost their collective minds over the ZR1. The acceleration, of course, was insane. 0 to 60 in the mid-4s.
way
and all
back
that.
then, 4.3
But the
is
engine's
fast
broad
as hell.
power delivery was the real highlight.
The LT5
Sub
was so
13 quarter,
strong throughout
yeah.
its entire rev range that
There's
it
your
spurred
hatchback.
car and drivers now legendary 5 to 60
Oh,
mile
I
an
can
hour
give it a
street
pass.
start
It's not
times.
as big as the Jag, but it
What had
it
happened
works.
was, in instrumented testing, the 911 Turbo was a half a second quicker to 60. But in the real world, the ZR1 was quicker 10 times out of 10. So they devised a test where they pulled out the ridiculously abusive launch. And guess what? The ZR1 was 4/10 quicker to 60.
Oh,
The
and it
one
had a
with
top
the
speed
1 foot
5
of
miles an
rollout.
hour.
Yeah.
That's like
Because 1 foot of rollout takes away the traction advantage that the Porsche 911 would have had in that case.
See you,
because
Scott.
oh yeah, man, thanks for watching. Really appreciate you sticking around as late as you did. So have a good night, Scott. And yeah, be at the Q&A. Look forward to seeing you there. Chip in and say hi. Yeah, so like the Porsche 911, like we were talking about earlier in the snow and stuff, they have a huge traction advantage as a rear-wheel drive platform when you have so much weight back there.
rear engine rear-wheel drive. Yeah.
It's just a built-in advantage that they learned how to, maximize, the performance out of.
An hour higher, stopped from 70 miles an hour 12 feet sooner, was 2 miles an hour faster through the slalom, 2.5 seconds quicker
Danes.
around
Have a
the
good night.
racetrack, thanks in part to adaptive Bilstein dampers taken from the Porsche 959. And then, to kick the 911 Turbo while it was down, the Corvette beat the Turbo by 4 miles per gallon on the highway and 3 miles per gallon in the city.
Wow.
Oh, and it cost $37,000 less.
At least at its original sticker price, which was $60,000. That was twice the price of a base Corvette, and the world lost its mind because the ZR1 Special Performance Package was the single most expensive option in the history of Detroit. And this car sold for $90,000. This guy got shafted because within a year or so, the ZR1s were selling below sticker. And there's a bunch of really interesting reasons why.
First, there was a recession in 1991. Then, recessions suck.
Second, the C4's interior was barely acceptable for a $30,000 car, and thus completely unacceptable for a $60,000 car. So much so that while the ZR1 was busy beating a Ferrari and a Lotus in a comparison test, Car and Driver said, and I quote, "This car is a rolling embarrassment to America until you stand on the gas." To which I say, stand on the gas.
The LT5's
See, I
reputation
love
was
that
scarred
engine
by
bay,
a couple
though.
of
Such a
engines
cool
blowing up.
design.
So this is ironic. Lotus was shocked at how ridiculously harsh GM's durability testing was. The LT5 had to pass a test where it cycled.
A Lotus being fragile, who'd have thunk? I love
Shocker.
Lotus. I absolutely love Lotus. But hearing that is the least surprising thing ever.
between peak torque and peak horsepower, so 4,800 to 5,800 RPM with regular trips into the red line for 200 straight hours at full throttle. Lotus's response to the engines blowing up was like, sorry, this can't be.
One of those engines blew up before the car even left the factory. So GM halted production and sent the engineers over to Bowling Green. And while they're there, they hear a ZR1 out in the parking lot, crank, and go straight to redline. So of course they run over, probably thinking something's wrong, only to find out that this employee started every single ZR1 with her foot on the floor.
Jesus.
And that exposed a quality control problem in one of GM's camshaft manufacturers. Whether any of those engines would have blown up without that unbelievably abusive starting procedure, we'll never know. But every ZR1 got an extra rev limiter for when the engine was cold, just in case.
That's probably good.
Millions of dollars in R&D, and one idiot blows all the LT5s up.
A fourth reason for the ZR1's disappointing sales
Still such
was
a cool engine.
the decision not to offend base Corvette buyers by making an upgraded model that looked upgraded. So the ZR1 was a $60,000 Corvette that looked almost identical to a $30,000 Corvette. It had rectangular taillights, but a year later, every other Corvette got the same rear-end styling.
ZR1's rear end was actually 3 inches wider than the regular Corvette, and that was to fit those ridiculous 315 millimeter wide steamrollers.
That's 315 millimeters.
The design department, I think. The extra width was so well integrated that you couldn't tell by looking at the car. It just looked awesome. But that was a problem. The only way to tell this monster apart from the horsepower-choked base
Little
Corvette
badge down there
was to look for the roof-mounted brake light.
Oh, that.
And that wasn't awesome.
Speaking of the base Corvette, that's where the fifth and biggest sales problem was. The internal small block team was mighty pissed off that GM went to Lotus for this V8. And so in short order, the Malaise era L98, which was a 37-year-old small block, was thrown out in favor of the Gen 2 small block.
In 1992, the LT1 dropped with 300 pushrod horsepower. And that meant
much
the
better.
base Corvette was lighter and almost as quick as the ZR1 and cost half as much. Ruh-roh. Lotus eventually gave this 405 horsepower and was working on a 475 horsepower version.
Jesus.
But that wasn't enough. Hell hath no fury like a small block engineer, and the very existence of the ZR1 and its Lotus motor set those guys on a warpath.
That warpath resulted in another, all-new, from-the-ground-up, all-aluminum V8. And it used a whole bunch of lessons learned from the Lotus V8 to beat the Lotus V8. This is the engine we know today as the incomparable LS.
The LS was 2 inches shorter, 2 inches lower, and weighed 240 pounds less than the LT5. Plus, it cost GM something like $25,000 a unit less to produce. And the LS was designed from the outset for the 1996 introduction of OBD2, which would have cost $1 million to retrofit to the LT5. And besides, in its first appearance,
the
LS...
he smacked his head on that.
Just like, oh, shit. Yes. 240 pounds just from a different block.
And the way they did that was because I'm guessing that means the LT5 was an iron block.
Yeah, no, the LS is aluminum, so that's a big difference.
Right. Well, yeah, so here's a fun one. There's iron block LS motors and aluminum block, right?
Yeah.
So
the iron blocks are the truck motors.
Right. Now, the iron blocks weigh 100 pounds more.
Right,
Same exact engine.
It came down to
iron.
When he's talking about the dimensions of how they're shorter and they're lower, it's less material overall.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other thing is the fact it went from a dual overhead cam to a single cam and block, like you're saying.
Yeah,
they were able to package it much smaller and tighter, and you're able to get that weight savings from that as well.
Yeah, because
you're making a smaller iron.
The whole reason
and aluminum.
Everybody gets excited about the LS and why a lot of people out there who see engine swaps all the time get annoyed by LS swaps. The reason they're so popular is why, some people get annoyed. It's because everybody's like, oh, just K swap something. It's like, no, the LS is so light that it's a V8 that punches way above its weight. And
literally,
it weighs the same or less than many of the 4 cylinders that you would try and compete against it with, iron block 4 cylinders. And the whole reason for like an iron block, the appeal of that is like, okay, like a 2JZ and a Supra, you want that because, okay, that can withstand a lot of pressure, a lot of, lot of force on it. Whereas an aluminum block, you have much different tolerances.
Well, because that gets into the material, because aluminum is brittle versus iron, which is more.
I believe that, Snack. Yeah.
Like when I learned when every time a plane flies, those wings on the aircraft actually have micro cracking because aluminum is that brittle.
Right.
So whereas iron will bend instead of cracking. Yeah. So that's part of that durability. And another reason why, and actually this is why the LS truck motors are made of iron, is because it's quieter. It's denser, so it will actually do a mild sound suppression and be more appealing to a truck buyer or anyone who's just looking for that NVH reduction.
And it also just has the added benefit of durability in the end. Yeah. I mean, it's going to hold up to more shit
because you
longer.
Don't give a shit when about 100 pounds on a 5,000 pound truck.
Because let's be honest, while a sports car is going to get revved out and stuff, in the case of a truck, there's all kinds of weird abuse that'll happen to a truck that's in normie hands long enough. I mean...
Yeah, I wouldn't know anyone who did weird shit with a V8 for, I don't know where you're...
Yeah, I don't know why I'm looking at you saying that, but anyway, 180 pound savings on my truck from the 4-cylinder compared to the V6.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah, like it'd be interesting to see if it was an aluminum 4-cylinder versus an iron block V6.
That would be interesting.
So,
even in its first iteration, when it first came out for the 1997 model year in the C5 Corvette, the LS1 then made less power initially. It made 345 horsepower. And then just with some simple tweaks, they started, uncracking. But it was 350 pretty quickly. It's small things. But that thing was designed to breathe from the get-go. You can always see that huge central, intake setup.
And they had the very long runners that they had. The reason it breathed so well and made so much power was because they figured out they had the runners go like this inside that central manifold. And so because you had them crossing like this, you were able to get more length out of each runner. More length means more torque in the intake world, whereas shorter runners is better for high RPM.
It's more gooder.
Yeah, more gooder.
More gooder.
Yep.
I think he's about to talk about the LS1 now.
Yep.
To retrofit to the LT5. And besides, in its first appearance, the LS1 made within 30 horsepower of the original LT5 anyway. So when the C4 went out of production, the LT5 died alongside it.
But the ZR1 remains an absolute legend, the only overhead cam multi-valve engine ever in the front of a Corvette. This is the ultimate C4. This was a preview of Corvettes to come, world-class performers that took no crap from anyone.
Oh, and in case you were wondering, the reason we build the ZR1 is simple. Because we can.
Good stuff.
Oh,
shoot. He's fighting for traction.
this is what Snap was looking for.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds so good. It's more musical sounding than a pushrod. He's got a passenger in there too.
You almost had a bad day.
It's a good car.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so that's actually something you want to try and do when you're driving a car is you want to try and roll on and roll off, and you want to manage you need to manage. This is something they teach in autocross.
Smooth is fast.
Like, so that always bothered me. Is like smooth, like, what is it? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And what they're trying.
I mean, I get what they're trying to communicate.
What they're trying to communicate is that when you stab the gas and when you stab the brakes, you're upsetting the balance of the chassis.
It's the way you handle inertia.
Yeah, and it throws all that off, and so it throws the car off balance, and then you go spin or do
no traction means you're wasting time.
Yeah. So
in a timed environment, if you're doing the hard clutch
traction,
if you're doing that hard drop clutch launch. And you break the tires loose and you spend valuable seconds just spinning your tires and being indelicate with the throttle, you could still be hard on that stuff, but it requires you to know what the limits already are and to know exactly how far you can push before you lose that stuff.
A little bit
to
of
get the
spin
most
is okay.
out of it. Spin's fine initially, a little bit.
Yeah.
A chirp or something, that's fine.
Well, and it's not even like a pedal monster.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But it's like so when I go to launch the Miata Autocross, what I'm trying to get is I'm trying to get it to go like I go by sound. It's like I hear but you're not trying to get like hard chirping because that means you're getting wheel hop, which is just bad news bears.
Yeah.
What you're trying to get is just a little scuff as you're moving and as you take off, because that's like the fine line between traction, no traction, maximum acceleration, still gripping. Yeah.
Well, warmer tires equals better traction to a degree in certain cases.
Yeah,
but hotter brakes is not good.
Well, you're not really building tire heat with that initial
No, you're not. I'm talking about when somebody does a burnout before a drag race. Or something.
Yeah, but that's
you're getting them nice and sticky in the burnout box. But yeah.
So, and in the burnout box, they intentionally put water down to help you burn. Spin.
They don't want you to get that initial traction because that's just going to ruin what you're trying to do. But then you want to, you'd be gone.
And then you're going to hit the VHT and go really way farther than you want.
They're really, really fast. Yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps up our evening here.
Nearly 3.5 fucking hours. 3 videos. And they weren't even long ones.
No, not even that long. Each one was like under 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Each one. And we managed to drag it. So thank you, Mod.
Speaking of drag race.
Well, great stream. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Oh, God. The Q&A tomorrow is going to be horrible. We're going to be at like one question, but guys, we're at 10 pages.
Oh, God. This is why they can't let us talk on there. Snack Snuck, I hope you enjoyed yourself here. This was fun, and I'm glad to see you as a new person in here.
Hatter. I'm looking for you.
Yeah. So, got to get that thumb war going next time. Everybody, thank you so much. No, that's okay.
It's all good, man.
As far as not being a gearhead about it, if you like cars and stuff, it's just cool to hear about it. I'm always afraid, I don't want to feel like I'm talking over somebody's head if they don't understand stuff. So I really like going out of my way to try and, not dumb it down, but just, try and make it accessible, you know? And because I think it's better to get more people enthusiastic about this stuff. Because otherwise, if we, let the old ways die, it's eventually just going to become a case of, like I was joking earlier about, everybody's an NPC.
You're right.
Nah, man, it was cool to hear about the taillight. See, that's the kind of stuff where I just obsess and fixate on the dumbest little details, and I'm just glad to know there's someone else out there living in the Matrix. Yeah, I'm very much not living in the Matrix when I focus on this stuff. So, yeah, anyway, we're in a dome. We're living in a simulation, et cetera, et cetera. So, you get it.
Well, and then you get into the whole there is this whole philosophical concept of if we are truly in a simulation, but there's no way we can tell, then it doesn't. To what?
Yeah.
Doesn't
at that point, it no longer matters
because it's okay, you don't have true ultimate free will, but you're able to do everything you can with free will. So it's you don't, but it doesn't matter. And that really,
if you're able to do free will to be able to do the things you want, but there are unforeseen circumstances and we are going so far off the rails. No, if you're able to have free will in the sense that you're able to do the things you want to do, but there are unforeseen, maybe, how would I phrase this? I mean, shit happens, right? That you have no control over, but you still got to do the thing you wanted to do. Is it fate or is it free will? I mean, you still got free will to do the thing you wanted, but
we're
fate.
At 3.5 hours and we want to go for sure.
I'm doing this because I'm like, let's go for 5 hours. Okay.
No, God, I'm going to.
We actually have to work in the morning. So anyway, guys, thought it'd be fun to throw that in at the last bit, something to ponder while you're out tomorrow, and then we'll see you on the Q&A over at my day job. So I hope y'all have a great night. GG's and GN.
Right.
Yeah.
Snack Snock, you'll like Haggerty if you like nerdy car shit, especially Jason Camisa, who did this video. He does great stuff. He's my hero.
Haggerty is an insurance company, but they've been kicking out insanely good content.
Yeah.
Like insanely. So this channel, I'll pull it back up on the screen so you can see it again. It's this channel where it says Haggerty down there. That's what you're looking for. Haggerty with 1G.
You know, also the giant, or also just below Never Stop Driving.
Yeah, also that.
Anyways.
Yes, that's it. Right. That's totally
That's the stream.
So, man, have a good night. I'm going to mute the mic. We're going to play some music, and y'all just try and get some rest before it's another day in the simulation for those of you who manage. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.